collaboration, technology partnerships, national recognition. We can look here at the 101st candle lighting. Some say one of the oldest continuous celebrations in Wyandotte County. And we also had great innovative partnerships with Panasonic over this past year and received a national grant to fund workforce expansion. Of course, we had a wonderful commencement at sporting. We had a nationally recognized Academic Honor Society and a record-breaking jazz summit that brought students from across the region to have jazz education here at KCKCC. Wonderful opportunities all. I want to end our presentation today talking about how excited I am as we read through the messages here and we share that message of hope, achievement, and community through this publication and all that we do every day. Please let me know if you have any questions about the annual report.
Thank you, Ms. Green. With all the changes we've had this year, and I know you were just kind of put on the spot last minute to get some things in there, but you got it done, and we really appreciate that. Do we have a nice report? Do we have any questions or comments from any of the trustees?
I just want to say thank you. This is absolutely beautiful. And reading through it again, I almost kind of forget all the amazing things that have happened even in the short time that I've been on the board. So thank you for this.
You're welcome.
And it's also shared with the community so that they know what all the great things that are happening at the college.
And we do mail this out to the community, and should anyone on college or on our board need it to share with anyone, we always have them here for you too.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Right. Thank you, Ms. Green. Okay. Next, we have the presentation of the Institutional Effectiveness Annual Update presented by Ms. Chris White. Ms. White?
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to share this year's Institutional Effectiveness Annual Report with you. My name is Christine White. I have the privilege of serving as the Executive Director of Institutional Effectiveness here at KCKCC. Over the next few minutes, I'll walk you through who makes up our team, what institutional effectiveness means for the institution, the work we've completed this last year, and where our focus is headed as we move into the next academic year. I'd like to start by introducing the team behind this work. Institutional effectiveness reports through the President's office typically, and I would report directly to the President. Due to leadership changes over the past few months, I'm currently reporting to the VPFO. Reporting to me is Andrew Cox, my Director of Strategy and Data Analysis, who oversees the day-to-day analytical work of the office. Andrew, in turn, works closely with Chris Day, our Research and Data Analyst, and Charles Kramer, our newest associate, our Title III Research Analyst. You'll notice the chart on the chart, Charles also maintains a dotted line relationship with Dr. Gina Ross, our Title III and Student Success Director. That connection reflects how closely our office collaborates with student success on a grant-funded research and reporting. It's a lean team, but one that touches nearly every aspect of the institution, from accreditation to grant compliance to the data that informs the decisions the college makes. What is institutional effectiveness? That leads me to a question. What do we do? Our vision statement captures it well. We serve as a strategic partner, delivering accurate and consistent data to meet the needs of both internal and external stakeholders. We do that through strong data governance, shared definition across departments, and by serving as the trusted repository of the college's historical data. We are, in short, the college's source of truth. But data alone doesn't drive decisions, interpretation does. As experts in data analysis, part of our role is helping colleagues across the college understand how to use their own data to tell their story, whether that's a program making the case for additional resources or a division demonstrating progress toward a goal. When faculty, staff, or this board need a number they can trust, institutional effectiveness is where that number comes from. Our office carries 4 primary areas of responsibility. First, accreditation and compliance. Working with academic affairs, we serve as a data partner to assist with evidence coordination, reporting, and institutional narrative that keeps KCKCC in good standing with our accreditors and regulatory bodies. Second, institutional research and data analysis. This is the core and analytical work of the office, from enrollment trends to student outcomes to workforce data. Third, strategic planning. We help set the framework for institutional goals and track progress against them. And fourth, we serve as a data partner for program review and assessment, supporting academic and administrative units as they work with Dr. Brewer as Dean of Academic Support and Assessment to evaluate their own effectiveness. These 4 areas aren't separate silos. They reinforce one another. The same data infrastructure that supports accreditation also supports strategic planning, and the same rigor we bring to institutional research is what makes program review meaningful. An update on 40X. I'd like to update you on a significant initiative we completed this year, the 40X, 4 Disciplines of Execution, or 40X. KCKCC began this project 2 years ago. I'm pleased to report that we brought the project to a close in May of 2026. The outcome has been meaningful. Staff and faculty across the institution developed and sharpened real skills in goal setting, planning, and tracking progress of their own goals and initiatives. Just as importantly, 40X gave many teams their first structured experience with this kind of disciplined execution, skills that will carry forward well beyond the formal end of this project.
1 minute.
Strategic Planning Operational Group. Building on that momentum in April of 2026, we formed a new shared governance team, the Strategic Planning Operational Group. This group exists to improve how we plan strategically as an institution, to track the progress of our initiatives, to ensure that college and divisional plans stay aligned with the overarching strategic plan, and to socialize that plan with the broader campus community so the process remains transparent and inclusive. One of the group's near-term priorities is assisting with the bridge plan for the 2027 academic year. Looking ahead, I want to highlight 5 initiatives that will keep institutional effectiveness busy through the remainder of 2026. We will continue managing the strategic plan itself, keeping it a living document rather than one that sits on a shelf. We're continuing our work improving data culture around the college and working to get the data warehouse up and running. At that, I'll end my presentation and take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. White. Really like the way you put it in plain terms for us. Are there any questions or comments for Ms. White?
All right, thank you.
It's a lot of good info. Thank you.
Next on our agenda is the communication, and it's the board self-evaluation. And I just wanted this to be back on here as a follow-up because we talked about it last month at the end of our special meeting. And so we are going to, you have the self-evaluation now. This is something that the board does every year. It's typically been inside of our board retreat, but we've already had the board retreat, and it's probably a good idea if we are more transparent with it, so you'll get it completed, and you have a hard copy there in front of you so that you can take a look at it, but it's also sent to you on, oh, okay, we have it here. But it's also sent to you online, and for our attorney, when we get ready to discuss this next month, we're evaluating ourselves. Can we just do this should it be a special session, or can we just openly? It's going to be summary. Chris, that you just met there, is going to give us a summary of our results, our input, and then we are going to discuss it to see where we are as a board, and what we need to do to improve, and the things that we've already done well.
It certainly could take place in a regular session if you want it to. Oftentimes the board or boards do a special session for self-evaluations simply because they are not necessarily, they don't flow as well in the context of a regular business agenda meeting where you have motions and limited discussion on each topic as it comes up on the agenda, whereas a self-evaluation typically involves a little bit more back and forth discussion, a little more free-flowing nature in terms of how the board interacts with each other as opposed to formal motions and formal agenda items and things of that nature. So it's totally up to you.
Okay.
What you could do is, I know we typically have a special session in advance of the board meeting or time allotted. That could be a spot for it. If you want it on the regular agenda, you could put it as an item on the regular agenda as well, though.
All right. Trustees, are you thinking then it would probably be better to have it at our 4 o'clock meeting in September? I think that'll be September 15. Someone had asked me, could it be an executive session? It can't be an executive session.
No,
However,
unless you've got some specific item that you're going to discuss that would fall under executive session, but the majority of the self-evaluation would not.
the
fall under.
board, right? Because it's the board, we're not employees.
Correct.
So, all right, just so we're all on the same page on that. So we will plan to discuss the results of it, at our September 15th special meeting at 4 p.m. or shortly after that. We'll probably have an executive session. I know we will. We just have to decide if we're going to do our discussion first or go to the executive session first. But okay. Any questions or comments about that?
So we're going to get the hard copies today?
Yes, she has them there. Mhm. And just thought, even though most of you are going to complete it online, if it's your first time, sometimes you want to give it some thought. And if you can look at a hard copy and just kind of give it some reflection and then complete it online, or if you want to complete the hard copy. My goal as chair is to get us on a page where we are doing things in a more consistent way, high-functioning board, so that the next board chair, the next board aren't coming in having to reinvent the wheel, because things are just kind of helter-skelter now. And we want to get everything in some type of order so that it's smooth sailing. I don't know if smooth sailing is the right word, but it's more consistent from board to board. Somebody can walk in and say, oh, this is what they've done, this is what they do, and then you're able to do it instead of, I kind of feel like reinventing the wheel a little bit right now. So are there any questions or comments? If not, all right. Well, thank you on that. Next, we have a presentation an update from Dr. Vietti on our presidential search. Dr. Vietti?
And what a great segue you provided to commend you for putting systems and processes in place that will serve your new president well and ensure a great partnership between the board and the president. And to that aim, I am excited to announce, through the work of Lorraine Mixon-Page and Patrick, we have 6 proposals from search firms that met the deadline. 3 of those I am very familiar with: the American Community College Trustee Association, the Association of Governing Boards, and the Poly Group, all of whom who have track records in national searches for presidents. We had 3 other organizations that I'm not familiar with: DSG Koya, RH Perry, and WBCP. So the next step, as you'll recall, is to form a subcommittee that will evaluate the proposals according to a written rubric, and then bring recommendations to the board for finalists to be interviewed by the full board. The subcommittee, as you approved, will include 2 to 3 board members, the CFO, the Chief Human Resource Officer, and your interim president. And the timeline for review of the 6 proposals is between August 26th and September 4th. And to reassure those board members who are going to be on this subcommittee, I borrowed Lorraine's notebook because she assured me no proposal is thicker than this, and some are thinner. And the process will be to give every member of the subcommittee a hard copy with an accompanying rubric for each, to ask the subcommittee to complete the rubrics individually, and then have one meeting as a group of the whole to review the individual ratings and make a selection of the finalists. So, again, to the aim of moving forward with this, because the goal is a search committee selected by October 1. Chair Hoskins Sutton, I will turn it over to you to solicit 2 to 3 board members.
And trustees, that was the email that I sent you on August 11th, so that you have a heads up, a little time to think about it and reflect on it. And so now, 2 to 3 trustees to serve on this subcommittee to select the search firm that we will interview collectively as a whole board. So if someone, as I mentioned in the email I sent you, if someone, during our discussion, if you already know you want to serve on this on this subcommittee, now serving on the subcommittee, you will still serve on the full search for the selection firm. So,
Is it my understanding that you, Madam Chair, and the Vice Chair would automatically be on the search committee? On this particular committee?
no.
It's not automatic? Okay.
No, and in fact, I had shared that because I will be on the actual selection committee for the president. And in the interest of transparency and wanting as much trustee engagement as possible, if we have 3 trustees step up, that want to serve on this subcommittee, I will not serve.
Okay, I thought I
Want to.
read that in our last.
Right. I want to, but I will not serve, that's probably not correct English, but I will not serve, if we have 3 trustees who want to serve on this, because I want us to have as much trustee engagement. Because on any of these committees, we can't have more than 3, because 4 would be a quorum.
I'm not interested, thank you.
Oh, but Trustee Johnson, I think I am recollecting why you might have asked your question, because when I presented the process outline in the search committee, not the subcommittee, it did specifically reference the president and vice president and possibly 1 other member. So I'm sure that's what generated your question.
Yes, okay, all right.
That's exactly what generated my
Okay,
question.
right, yeah, and
All
this
right.
is the subcommittee.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I would also like to say and apologize to the board that I will be out of town from the 28th to the 4th, so I don't know if I will be much help. So I will apologize to the board there.
Okay,
And I would also like to just reiterate the time commitment. It is 1 meeting of the group And then it is your individual ratings before that one meeting as your time permits.
And that's why I put on that email to you that the rubrics rating, that's homework. You do that before you have that one meeting. So when you come to the meeting, it can be productive, you can get through it and not try to sit there and review the applications then. The RFPs is what I should say.
Dr. Vietti, do you know when that meeting would be? Have you figured that out yet?
We would set it based on the schedules of the subcommittee group.
And that's why we had August 26th to September 4th. That's the range of dates that, and dependent, I mean, she has not preset it. Yeah.
And what is driving that time frame is you have a September 16th, 15th board meeting.
Yes.
And so the subcommittee needs to be prepared to bring forward the recommended finalists for the board's consideration.
I will say I have a lot of experience reviewing RFPs. If we could make the time work, I'd be more than happy to serve on there. I will just have a very tight timeline for me.
We will make the time frame work.
Then I will be happy to serve on there.
Okay.
And I just don't have the capacity with all the other things that I have going on right now.
We understand, and
Okay.
that's why I put it out ahead of time so that you wouldn't have to try to absorb all this right now. You look at your schedule, so thank you.
Yeah, I think I would be interested.
Okay, so we have Trustee Sanchez and Trustee Comp. If you're going to be that tight, I'll sit in, but if you think, you're.
I'm happy to serve, but I want to be sure, especially all the newer trustees that, have an interest in serving, get an opportunity. But, I mean, I'm happy to serve on that.
Okay. All right. Vice Chair, it's up to you. If you're okay with Trustee Ash filling in, or if you want to really stretch yourself, we appreciate you offering to do that, so.
So who do we have right now?
Trustee Sanchez and you, or you could still be the third person if you wanted to, or you could let it be two, unless someone else wants to serve on there.
So right now, Kump, Sanchez, and Ash have expressed interest in doing it. Okay, all right. I just want to be clear on that.
Yes.
I didn't hear anything from Brenda, so, or Joe, so, okay.
I'm hearing that there are two committees being started. One is for the presidential search company. The other is for the actual search for the president.
That is correct, because we have to do this one first to get to that, to select the firm.
Mm-hmm.
Because we have 6 firms, and we have to interview.
Yeah, I'm not interested in serving on the search for the firm.
Okay, but then we all will still be involved, because in the final analysis would
Right, that's
interview.
fine,
Okay,
that's
okay,
fine.
all right, just so everybody know that in the end, everyone will still
Yeah.
have some input on
Right.
this. We just didn't want Dr. Vietti and Ms. Page to pick the companies, and then, the board's like, well, why did they pick these companies? So if you're in on the foundation of the discussions, then you know how we arrived at the ones that we're going to interview. Yes, sir.
Another question for clarification. So as this subcommittee meets and reviews all of these proposals, are we going to make recommendation just based on that? No interviews with?
The subcommittee will select the finalist for presentation to the board to approve.
For approval.
The full board will interview the finalist.
Okay, all right, thank you.
One other point of clarification. To meet the October 1 deadline, it would require a special board meeting following your September regular meeting.
Yeah.
So just for clarification on this committee, is it just to select the process that we want? there's the 6 different companies. So we're going to select the companies in which process that they're going to perform that we like best, that aligns with what we want. But are all the costs listed?
Yes.
With that already? So they'll all have that? Okay.
That, I believe, if Lorraine Mixon-Page could keep me honest, I believe listing the cost was part of the RFP.
Okay.
So all of,
Okay.
all of these 6 have met all of the required elements of the RFP.
Okay. So it's just the process that they're going to do that we like best. Okay. Thank you.
Based on the elements we required in the RFP. Its rating, the rubric has a rating scale of 1 to 5. There is value in the subcommittee completing the rating forms individually to avoid groupthink. But then we will come together and share our ratings and see which firms rise to the top.
And while we are concerned about cost, we don't want that to be our only deciding factor, because the least expensive one may not fit the needs of what we need to get a best search.
May I make a suggestion for that then? When we do the ratings, can we do a blind rating without the cost attached to each company? And then we can use the cost as a tiebreaker or final.
And that would be up to the subcommittee or direction from the board.
Fair.
Okay.
If it is the board's preference not to include cost in the ratings until the end, we can do that.
And I'd just like to make the suggestion is not really in favor of that because we've asked, will you meet these criteria? So all 6 of these companies have met what we've asked. So I think the cost is very important also.
Understood.
Just from my point of view.
Yeah,
I get that.
Right.
Oh, I do.
So we just the subcommittee needs direction from the board on whether to include or not include the cost.
Okay. I don't know, is this something we need to vote on, or can we just kind of agree? But
Well, I think it depends on whether you've got disagreement. If everybody's on board with including the costs, which were part of the RFP, then I don't think you have to have the board give direction. But if there's some disagreement on what you're going to look at, then yeah, I think you're probably going to have a vote.
okay.
No disagreement here.
I don't know. I don't know if there's really a disagreement. It just sounds like there. In fairness, I think he was just suggesting that, perhaps we look at costs last so that we evaluate the merits of the rest of the RFP first, is what I think you were suggesting. But regardless, it doesn't sound like I've seen a lot of nods of the head that people think that the cost should be included in the evaluation. So I don't think you have disagreement.
yeah.
Well, one way or the other, it is going to be included. And it's a matter of whether it's included when the individuals rate or when the group meets. So what I'm trying to say is it will be a factor for consideration.
Yeah, I think that would be good to see the cost, because that is a part of the process. But one question I do have to the cost, the RFP is what they present in terms of what their cost would be. Is there any leeway or wiggle room that we would have in terms of any further negotiation down on any of those costs?
I've not experienced that with any search firm with which I have worked, but I think that can be discussion in the subcommittee with our Chief Human Resource Officer to see what experience she's had.
Yeah, just a thought, just a question.
Yeah.
We are happy to explore it in this subcommittee.
Okay. So then the board, I don't know, do we need to vote for the 3 that have volunteered, or is it?
I mean, typically your committee appointments are by the chair with approval of the board. So typically you would nominate everybody and the board would vote.
Okay. So we have 3 trustees. Trustee Sanchez, Vice Chair Comp, and Trustee Ash have agreed to serve on this subcommittee for the search firm, for our presidential search. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the 3 trustees listed, named, to serve on the subcommittee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. I like that good engagement like that. It's just not coming from the chair or somebody, this is what we're going to do. We're all engaged in this, and this is just a great way to move forward. Next on our agenda is the board committee reports, and first we have Trustee Ash with the Board Finance and Operations Committee.
Okay, thank you, Chair Sutton. So we did meet last week. The committee met, and trustees Kahar and I were all present, and so we, approved the minutes of the previous meeting. We looked at consent agenda items B and C, which are included in your packet, and we approved moving them forward to the full board for your review. Reminder that this is a June financial summary and report for the board. And so we looked at the financial summary and all of the various reports that the board looks at. And again, they are all included in your packet. And we had some discussion as we moved through the reports, but we voted to move them forward to you for this evening. And we had pretty robust discussion regarding the FY27 budget and mill levy. We looked at a number of different scenarios that Dr. Schulte and his more than capable staff had put together for us to look at. So in terms of what our mill levy, what does our mill levy have to be set at a minimum to remain revenue neutral? And so we saw that, and then we looked at scenarios of what it would look like if we reduced, which is not quite 1 mil, I'll just put it that way. We looked at scenario of a 1 mil reduction, and we looked at 1.5 mil, we looked at 2 mils. I think they had even prepared 3. But as we moved through them and considered them, we had pretty robust discussion. We voted to move the scenarios forward that show revenue neutral, and then 1 mil reduction, and 1.25 mils. It was consensus within the committee that going deeper than that would be detrimental likely to the college. So that is what you will see tonight as Dr. Schulte gives his report. And so we had a very robust discussion about that. And then, of course, we had to approve the notice of the public hearing on the mill levy rate for 2027, which is the statutory requirement. And then finally, approval of a notice of the public hearing on the final 2027 budget that this board will consider and ultimately pass. So all of those things are required. They're time sensitive by statute. And so we approved, those notices. In addition, we did have some informational follow-up that was presented to us concerning the Gallagher compensation study. And we also had an update on where we were with the downtown campus and coming online, coming on board. And I'd just like to say, that I've had 3 tours down there. So I think, now I'm certified to give the tours if Jason's unavailable. But But Jason does a great job, and we had pretty good crowds at each and every one, that I attended. A lot of interest and a lot of oohs and ahs, and people, generally feeling really, really good about the campus and the facility down there, and just amazed at some of the things that we're going to be able to do with students down there, including our mayor, Mayor Watson. She was at one of them, the open house, and then tour that night. And so we may hear more about some of that going forward at a later date. But she was really excited, and she even got to test drive the all-electric Bobcat, which is really an impressive machine. It really is. And so, but anyway, you're all aware classes started there yesterday. So, we're open. Community America's open. Swope Health is open. They're getting traffic. They're getting, customers and one thing or another. And so it's on the go. And then, we got just a little bit of update of what we knew on Tuesday last week at that time about Willigill. And so you already know what you know about that from there. So that is the report. We didn't have any particular facility or operations updates, although there are two that we talked around a little bit and I wanted to mention. One is the incredibly beautiful new soccer field, turf, up there with our name on it and everything. It's just amazing. And then the other was, we're still waiting on approved work permits so that, we can finish up some of the other flood mitigation work that still needs to be done. So I have not heard anything this week, but maybe Dr. Schulte will just give us a little heads up on that. But rest assured, our people are prepared to go. Our contractor and those whoever's supporting us, we're good to go. We just need the permit from the unified government. So that's about all we had on the operations side of it. You have a comment?
I just have one comment that I thought was really helpful as we were going through a lot of those mill levy discussions, and it was the commitment of Dr. Schulte, Dr. Vietti, and team to continue to work towards an opportunity to increase our revenues outside of the property tax space. And I was very, very excited to see that, not only that commitment, but they truly have some ideas to do so. So it's exciting to see that.
Joe, would you have anything you'd like to add?
One question I had was about snow removal, and so we talked about that a little bit, and I'd like to see us be more in-house on that. I know that's a cost that's set at $147,000 this year. I'd like to see some numbers on if we get the rest of the equipment we need and how much that'd cost for us, because that's just for this campus. So just looking forward to the future, like what's the cost difference between subbing that out and us doing it in-house?
Yes, and I have several things, and I guess I'll start with what you just said. It used to all be in-house. So we used to have all of that equipment, right, to do all of that. But yes, that's a valid question. And then Trustee Ash, the thing about the turf, it is beautiful. And it's our soccer field up here, and we want the community to know we're having some conversations about it, and we're not trying to keep the community out, but that turf is an investment. So if you use the track, because it's for us, it's for the entire community, and it's for our student athletes, let's help take care of it. So we don't want you to think we don't want you to use it, but we do want you to be mindful of the investment that it was for that turf. Okay. Oh, and then the other thing, since we have this is just something to think about. We have a meeting at our Pioneer campus in Leavenworth. We have a meeting at the Tech Center. At some point, we might want to have one of our board meetings downtown. That, you know?
I thought you were going to say the soccer field. That's what I thought she was going to say.
Well, yeah, in January.
Okay.
I thought she was going to say the same thing.
But that just, I mean, how cool would that be if we have a meeting? I mean, it's not like driving to Leavenworth, and I'm not complaining Leavenworth, okay? But how cool would that be? It's not that much farther. I know it won't be in this year, but maybe in our next calendar year, academic year, when we look at our meeting locations, we can add something for downtown, because I think it will show another commitment from this board and this college. Thank you for that report. Thank you for the committee. Are there any other
Any
questions or
questions?
comments for this committee?
Okay.
Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept the board finance?
So moved.
Oh, okay, yes.
No, at some point, I think there was some conversations about not just snow removal, but other things on the maintenance end that if there's any possibility that here at the college, I mean, we've got students and programs and staff and with everything technical, the construction. Would it be worth exploring the possibility of having some of that work done as part of the program that they're in terms of part of their coursework, classwork, on-the-job training, so to speak? I don't know if it's possible, or if there's just liability issues that would prevent that from happening, but I just thought I would just throw that out there.
Okay. Well, we don't know until it's assessed. And I guess the main thing we don't want to do is just to do something without the data. What can we do? And I know when we talk about academic programs, I'm looking at Vice President Pope. When we talk about that, what are the requirements? How much can students do? Because we don't want to cross the line that it looks like they are employees. But it's, I always, as I said to you before, the possibilities just need to be explored to see what is possible. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good point. And it may not work, yeah, but it can't hurt to just kind of explore ideas. So, thank you.
But students can be work-study, which means there are employees.
Yes, but it's in a whole different category.
Yeah, but I guess what he's saying is maybe explore how they could be, the possibility.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, even things in terms of the cost of painting Centennial Hall and, basic maintenance that could be done maybe, in-house or through our programs.
As I'm hearing the discussion, I'm shaping it this way. The first question to ask is it feasible?
Yes.
And we want always to be respectful of having students put their education first. If we can create some applied learning that would help the college, that does make sense. But it's not good to answer it on the fly, and it's the best answer to turn to the experts, our faculty, to explore, again, what is feasible without compromising the academic learning.
Yes, and that's why I was looking at Vice President Pope, because I know when it talks about academic and what students can do outside of the classroom, we have to be mindful of that as well.
Very well put. Thank you.
But we're not sitting here saying, oh, no, you can't do that. We're just saying the feasibility of it has to be explored. So, okay. Thank you, everyone, for that input. Anything else before you give me a motion to accept the report from Trustee Ash from the Board Finance and Operations Committee? I have a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report as presented from the Board Finance and Operations Committee. Trustee Ash is the chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next on the agenda is the report from the Board Policy Committee. And we have been taking a break because we don't meet in the summer because the Senates aren't here. But our first meeting is scheduled for September, I believe it's the 10th. And thank you, Ms. Lorraine Mixon-Page. Even though we don't meet during the summer, she is still working on policies to present to us. So we'll meet in September. So I probably just have like a simple report for maybe what we talked about or something, but there should not, unless, I don't think we had anything left over. So we have one that might be able to be voted on after committee. Okay. But that's, thank you. That's my report. May I have a motion to accept the report?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to accept the report from the Board Policy Committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the Board Community Engagement Committee, Chair Trustee Sanchez.
Yeah, things are moving along good. We had a good, productive meeting. We're still, I think we're still in the exploring phases. I think things are finally building up to a very good point here. Right now, we had discussions about potentially what we would need to do in terms of adding others to the board they're not trustees, that would be in the community, part of the foundation. Just people who are out in the community who serve on other boards, who have their eyes and ears in other areas that we don't, that could provide some very good feedback. So some of the things that we're looking at right now. So we're just need to finalize, how we're going to move forward on that suggestion. There's 3 individuals that were prospective additions to the board that I think would be, very helpful. And so I think that's, I think once we wrap that up, then we're going to be in a good position in terms of meeting and exploring the things that we can do that are going to complement what is already happening at the college and what is already happening in many of the departments. And with Chris Green's help, just being a help and a second hand, so to speak, to what is already happening, what she's already doing. So there's no stepping on toes, there's no overlapping, and trying to explore some areas that we can expand engagement in terms of media, potentially radio and print. So that's where we're at right now.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Yes.
Who are the new committee members?
That was my next thing. You should have a sheet over there. I gave each one of the trustees.
I have that sheet, but he mentioned 3 additional.
Oh, he's talking about community people. Oh, okay. Excuse
Yes.
me. Go on.
Oh, yeah, those are conversations that we had. So one of them is Brian Boyd, who serves on the foundation committee. He's very active in the community and is very excited about the potential of kind of expanding what he already does and his involvement in the foundation. I spoke with Roger Skog with FBOE, Fringe Benefits of Education. Extremely actively plugged in and involved, especially with youth and younger adults. I think he has great insight and is really plugged into the community, and I think that could really benefit us in the engagement committee. The other one I haven't spoken to yet, but I had in mind to speak to Nicholas Segura from Segura Marketing. He is involved in many boards. He has a very good pulse on what's happening in the city and also in the corporate world, and I think that would be a very good addition to have another angle, another perspective, so to speak, on how we can further expand our presence in the community.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Any other questions? And I'll let this be just a segue into the sheet that I gave each one of you, an update on the committee assignments. And I'll just read through it real quick before Trustee Ash gives us the report on KCKCC and ACCT, because these are in-house, what we do here at the college. And the same people are on the Board and Finance Operations Committee. That mainly was an update on the name. And then we have, now that we have Trustee Johnson, Jamie Johnson is the alternate for the Board Finance and Operations Committee. On the Policy Committee, Trustee Sanchez is still the alternate. And I think that's, oh, and then Trustee Johnson is added to the foundation, KCKCC Foundation Board, that's a non-voting. And then she's also added to the community engagement. So if you will
Good job.
let her know the dates, times that you're going to meet so that she can be informed and be there. So before, are there any other questions or comments before I call for a motion to accept his report? Thank you for that excellent report.
You're welcome.
Motion to approve the report as said.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next on our agenda is Trustee Ash again. He is going to talk about ACCT and KACC. That's Association of Community College Trustees and Kansas Association of Community Colleges for
Okay,
people who
thank
don't know
you.
what those acronyms are.
Chair Sutton, we'll start with KACC first. We met August 2nd and 3rd in Great Bend at Barton County Community College. Dr. Bietti and I were in attendance. And we did have attendance from all 19 community colleges.
That's
And
excellent.
it's been a while since we've had that. So it was a good crowd, a big crowd. You know, locations in the center of the state. And so if you're on the far east end or the far west end, we all travel about the same amount of distance there. But that being said, Garden City's, Great Bend's a beautiful little town, and the Barton campus is, wonderful, and they were gracious hosts there. We participated in a legislative panel on Sunday evening. We had 3 state legislators that were there and served as a sort of subject matter expert panel. They each gave an intro and talked about their specific duties and responsibilities. They all represent pretty much the area out there. And so, but I thought they were pretty candid and pretty open in what, the information that they were sharing with us in response to some of the questions. And so that went really pretty well. And then after that, U.S. Senator Roger Marshall joined us via Zoom, and he shared some information. He stood for questions. There were some good questions that came his way. I think he was pretty open, reasonably direct, considering it's a election year, and so he's on the record every time he's speaking, in public, and but it was great that he gave us, I think, some of his time on a Sunday evening to share with us. And then Heather gave us an update from the Board of Regents annual retreat. They met for 3 days, and our representatives were given 10 minutes to share. So take that for what it's worth. Basically 2 or 3 days of their life they'll never get back. But anyway, 10 minutes. What are you going to do in 10 minutes? So, but they did update us on some of the things that that the regents were discussing, and again, we're anticipating there are going to be changes. The Board of Regents, we get a new governor, and we're going to get a new director of the Board of Regents as well. So we'll just kind of have to see what happens after the dust settles there. Dr. Vietti earlier alluded to performance performance-based funding metrics, and our group looked at that. We considered that. We think it's better if we lead and try to steer the thing where it needs to go rather than being led by them, or I have another term, but we're in polite meeting here and I won't use it. But you get the idea. And so really good, robust discussion around that. And the proposed metrics that we talked about included credential production, which is key, and we do a lot of that. The high value programs. What are the high value programs? High demand, high wage, high value programs. Completion, retention, and then the KBOR Student Success Index. So our association approved the performance-based funding framework that we came away with after our discussion, and but it's subject to additional modeling or tweaking before we're actually ready to run fully with it. We talked about some potential legislative and priorities. Some of those included extension of the tax credits, Kansas Promise Act, a couple of other policy proposals, and then we adopted a member code of conduct. We have a code of conduct for our board, and we're asking everybody in that association to understand there's a code of conduct for our association and to sign that, and that just helps with shared expectations, keeps integrity high, transparency high, collaboration, and sort of unified representation. In other words, representing all of the colleges. It's clear that not all colleges are created equal. Some are larger, some are smaller, some are urban, not very many of us, but some are urban, some are rural, and so nevertheless we want to think in terms of an entire system. I reported to you last month that we had already voted and accepted Manhattan Tech and Salina Tech into the association, and Flint Hills Tech had approached us interested in becoming a part of our association as well. All three of those tech colleges are unaffiliated with any other college or university or anything, and they have boards, they're appointed boards and not elected boards, but they're locally appointed boards, and so they fit very well in with our structure, if you will, and mission, and it gives us an opportunity to pick up some additional legislative support because of the legislators that, their colleges are in that legislators areas. So we did accept Flint Hills there. We had 2 additional bylaws amendments, and we took no action on a third proposal. So somebody made a motion for a proposal. It died for a lack of a second, and so, but we did agree to 2 other bylaws amendments, so those will be worked up and sent out to everybody and so forth. Now the next meeting is in December, first weekend in December. We are going back to the Friday, Saturday format, although this particular meeting is going to be in Colby, and it's going to be actually a Thursday, Friday format. But then after that, we're going to be back to the Friday, Saturday formats for the meeting. The Sunday, Monday didn't work out as well as I think a lot of them had envisioned. So the association continues to move forward, and I really do enjoy the presentations and the discussions. They are fruitful and beneficial they're edifying and as an opportunity really, to learn more about the system and about how we can be better individually and collectively. So one of the next things we will be looking for between now and then is the economic impact study, the Lightcast economic impact study that's being conducted, and we should have the results of that, I believe, in October. And so we will have an opportunity to see that and review it and everything before the association meets again. And just to refresh your memory, each college will receive an individual impact study for just our college, or just each individual college, and then the report will have a collective economic impact for all of the colleges on the economic impact for the state. So that's about it for KACC. Dr. Vetti, you care to comment on anything else or any of that?
You covered it wonderfully. I will not be repetitive.
Okay, thank you. So to move on to ACCT, again, we're preparing for the annual Congress, which is in October, third week in October in Chicago. And so that is the big business meeting for that group and that association. There will be some board members, seats that will change, and some people will be elected. There probably will be some new committee members, some people rotating off of committees, and so forth. And it's just really the big business meeting for the ACCT. A lot of presentations from various groups, some discussion about what the federal legislative agenda will be for the association for legislative summit in February, and just a lot of good information and individual workshops and so forth. And I'm going to give Chair Sutton a chance to share anything on behalf of the committee that she is still serving on there. But I also wanted to see, Linda, did you participate in that succession planning and CEO last week? I was supposed to participate in it, and I had an urgent thing come up, and I didn't get to do it. Were you able to do it, and would you like to share anything from it?
Yes, and it was very beneficial. It was an hour, but it was packed.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a lot of screenshots, but they covered succession planning first, and that's something that we don't really do here or do well. And it says from the president on down, there should be some type of succession planner. And it says usually your president doesn't want to do that, but it says the board should insist that on every step there's someone else. So you need to have a succession plan. So I'm hoping we get to that. And then the other part of it was the CEO search. And there were some best practices that they covered. In fact, I won't take the time here, and I'm hoping that sometimes when they do those webinars, they will go back and record it. But it was very, very beneficial, all of that information that was in there.
Yeah.
And speaking
I
of
need to miss it.
the Congress that we're going to in October, I think there's going to be several sessions on CEO search.
No.
So I'm going to be seeking those out and planning to attend those because that's October. We will just be beginning our search. So, and as far as the committee I'm serving on, student impact and success, I will go a day ahead. I think it's that 20 or the 21st, because my committee meets and then the conference starts that Wednesday. So we are still working on various ways that we can support each other when we talk about the diverse populations that we serve, because that's the basis of who we are as community colleges. We serve diverse
No.
communities. So
Okay.
Any-
So that is all I have for my report, so.
Thank you for all that excellent
Take questions.
in-depth regarding the KACC. Every time I'm able to go, I walk away with so much good information. So if you ever get the chance out of your schedule, and I know it's hard, especially if you have younger children and you work. Not that I don't work, I'm retired, but I still, but anyway, that's a whole nother story. But the point I'm making is, if you can, work it into your schedule to at least go to once a year, because isn't it 4? I think it's 4 meetings, yeah.
About 4 through the year, yeah, yeah. And the next one again is in Colby in December, if I-70 is open. So, anyway,
Yes. Is there any other comments or concerns? I think that's what 4 of us right now that's planning to go. Yeah, Dr. Vietti, Trustee Johnson, Trustee Ash, and myself that are planning to go to the Leadership Congress in Chicago. And, it's in October, so there could be snow in Chicago in October,
true.
right? Yeah.
yeah, that's true.
May I have a motion to accept Trustee Ash's report on KCKCC and ACCT?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report from Trustee Ash on KCKCC and ACCT. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next on our agenda is the consent agenda items, and there is an amendment, and we need to do this first before I ask you to vote. You received an updated consent agenda item D, which is our human resources personnel. The update was on the nursing adjunct faculty. That amount that was in our packet was incorrect. And the sheet that you have in front of you is the corrected amount under new hire for those 2 that are adjunct nursing education. So, you have that, and then are there any other questions or comments from any of the consent agenda items? A, A1, B, C, and then you have the amendment for D.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda items with the amendment of the item D.
Second.
Did I get a second?
John, second.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you. I have a motion and a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda items with the amendment, with the amended item D for consent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Board. This, with the students just returning yesterday, we don't have a report from our Student Senate President yet, but we look forward to hearing from him next month in September. Next, we have our President's report, our interim president, Dr. Jackie Vietti. Dr. Vietti?
Thank you, Chair Hoskins. From my vantage point, the last 2 days have been awesome. 2 of the best days of the year when we get to launch a new academic year and the students come back. So I want to give a big shout out to not our Walmart greeters, but our Blue Devil greeters who were in the hallways helping students go get wherever they needed to get. It's not just say we didn't have a few glitches, you always have a few glitches, but we'll take those on. But again, a shout out to our volunteers, faculty, staff, student services who made a huge effort to help our students feel invited and excited about the semester. We've touched on performance-based funding. It's still in its infancy stages. It has to get funded by the legislature, so stay tuned. But one of the other opportunities for our students is called the Workforce Pell. I don't know if you've talked about that as a board, but it is a new opportunity for students completing certificates short-term certificates to be if they are Pell eligible, they can apply for funding for the workforce Pels. Each state has to work out the process for that. We've been told that our apprenticeship program students should be automatically approved. We still need to check on that. We need to submit programs to the Kansas Board of Regents for approval. We are awaiting to learn what that process is, but we want to capitalize on it for our certificate students who qualify. We did, Trustee Ash mentioned, during the KCKCC meeting, we received some discussion or had some informal discussion about legislation, and our unwavering message will be regarding budget. Fully fund our tiered and non-tiered classes. And then we would love funding for the performance-based initiative. So that's one that you will stay tuned on. I am still in the process of gathering October retreat information for the board to bring you a proposal. If you'll recall, we did talk about that at your August 1 retreat. And as soon as I hear back from a couple of facilitators that I have reached out to, you will be the second to know. Chris Green, Mike Crouch, and I were able to attend last week's WIDEC meeting. We got to connect with Regent Kathy Wolf-Moore and with Regent Pamela Curtis, so those were two good connections to make. And the last two things on my report are to invite first Jason Sievers to the podium to give you a blow-by-blow description of the tours that he has personally provided over the last, 2 weeks, Jason, 3 weeks? Yeah. So I have dubbed him the tour maestro.
Thank you, Dr. Vietti, and good evening, trustees, cabinet members, and guests. I am pleased to share an update on our ongoing community outreach and stakeholder engagement for the Community Education, Health, and Wellness Center. Over the past month, we have opened our doors to a wide array of regional leaders, partners, faculty, staff, and the community. The response across the board has been overwhelmingly positive, demonstrating the immense value and excitement this center brings to Wyandotte County and Kansas City, Kansas Community College. Our tour strategy has focused on engaging key stakeholders across many core areas: civic leadership, law enforcement and justice, local media, faith-based partners, academic departments, internal operations teams, and our community. Starting with our civic and community partners, we recently hosted the KCK Rotary Club and Project Eagle. Engaging these civic and early childhood leaders highlighted the center's broad community impact. Visitors noted how the facility serves as both a catalyst for regional growth and a welcoming environment for family-centered programming. Overall, their feedback reaffirmed that the facility stands as a vital hub for community wellness, civic collaboration, and intergenerational support across Wyandotte County. In the public safety and legal leadership, we were honored to host comprehensive walkthroughs with the Wyandotte County Sheriff, the Wyandotte County Undersheriff, the Wyandotte County District Attorney, and later this week we will be hosting the Unified Government Legal Team. Given the scope and the activity of the center, establishing strong working relationships with regional law enforcement and legal entities is essential. These leadership tours provided an opportunity for us to showcase our safety protocols, our emergency access design, and our collaborative opportunities available. The feedback from law enforcement leadership was exceptionally positive. We also welcomed the KCK Historic Society, KSHB 41 News, and various local pastors from the immediate area. The Historic Society appreciated how the facility honors the local history while still driving modern neighborhood revitalization. Our media engagement with KSHB provided positive local coverage, showcasing how KCKCC is directly addressing health disparities and education access in our community. In addition, our session with the area pastors underscored the center's role as a trusted sanctuary for health, learning, and family support. These faith leaders are eager to partner with us and to spread awareness about these services back at their congregations. Internally, building institutional momentum and alignment has been just as critical as the external outreach. To date, we have conducted 4 dedicated faculty and staff tours, along with specialized sessions for the music department and human resources. Our faculty and staff gained a clear vision of how their programs will operate within the state-of-the-art classrooms and lab spaces available. The music department explored acoustic and performance potentials, while human resources evaluated administrative and employee wellness areas. Providing these firsthand experiences ensures our college community feels informed, engaged, and ready to maximize the potential of the new space available. And certainly last but not least, as Trustee Ash pointed out, Mayor Watson came to our recruiting drive and toured the facility. She was very impressed. She spent a lot of time in all of the areas, had lots of ideas, wants to work with the college moving forward. So to summarize, these tours have yielded 3 key outcomes: strong community support, broad enthusiasm from civic, faith, and local government partners, operational safety and community and safety readiness, direct alignment with county law enforcement, legal, and other safety teams, internal alignment, enthusiastic engagement across faculty, staff, and academic departments. As we move forward, we will continue hosting targeted walkthroughs to deepen our community partnerships, expand the programs, and ensure seamless operations. Thank you all so much for your leadership, your ongoing support for this transformative project, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Officer Severs. Is still officer?
No longer officer. Site director at the new location.
Okay. Well, I didn't know if you were still wearing both hats. To me, you'll always be an officer.
Thank you.
Whatever other role you take on. But just want to say thank you for your leadership in this. When Dr. Patrick identified you, something he saw, he said, Jason is the perfect person to take this on, and I can clearly see that. So thank you for your leadership as the site director there.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate that.
I'll stop talking so someone else can say something.
Just call me if you need help with a tour. Just,
Absolutely. You are always welcome.
just saying.
I'm shocked. I was thinking, where's your uniform? Shocked.
That's what I say. He's still officer.
Have to get you another uniform.
I just want to appreciate you and your staff for the tour that I took. I think her name is Bailey. Last name may be Bailey. Can't remember. But she was like on the third
The person
day.
that gave you the tour?
Yes.
So that was Tara Charles. That's one of the new employees there.
Charles.
That's
She was
the
excellent.
admin assistant.
Yes.
And I can't say enough good things about her.
She was excellent.
The recruitment event was on day 4 of her being an employee of the college, and she jumped right in. She was giving tours, answering questions, did a wonderful job. Lots of great comments.
Yes. I think the building has exceeded the community's expectation, because everyone that I know that has spoken about that building said, oh, well, I went and I had a tour. I had no idea it was blah, 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 blah. So, yes, so thank you. It's as I say, it's for the community. The community belongs there, and so we want everyone hands on deck to make it a success.
Absolutely.
Anyone else?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
I want you to think back to 42 days ago when you interviewed me and then made the decision to bring me on as interim president. You asked what my first priorities would be, and one of those I mentioned was restoring a culture of inclusivity in which everyone had a sense of belonging and felt their voices were heard and respected. And to that aim, part of convocation was sharing with our family, our faculty and staff, the results of the most recent, I call it CES survey, and it's Community Engagement Satisfaction Survey. So Chris White provided an overview of the results, a summary, and I know that Chair Hoskins Sutton, as well as Trustee Donna Ash, Trustee Andre Yu, and Trustee Johnson, and I know you were virtual. I wasn't going to leave you out. You heard the full-blown summary, but I would like you to revisit it in an abbreviated form, and I would like the rest of the trustees to hear what the results told us, because they provide a very clear direction for what steps we need to consider to address certain areas. So with that said, I would ask Chris White back to the podium, back by popular demand.
Most of you were given a presentation earlier this year about the results of the 2025 Employee Engagement Survey. What I want to talk about today is the analysis done by an independent third party, J. O'Brien Consulting, who analyzed those results and provided us with a path of where to go next. But before I go to what we do next, I just want to highlight a few things from the satisfaction survey. So we did have a response rate of 45.3. There were 433 employees that included faculty, staff, and administration. Out of those 433, we had 196 responses. Overall satisfaction was low, 3.35 on a 5.0 scale, below the peer benchmark of 4.2. Another concerning figure is 56% considered leaving the college. However, the numbers that Lorraine provided me show that those people didn't leave. We have an opportunity to keep them. So what does this information tell you? On here, I have a negative 17.3 workplace ENPS. And ENPS is, would you recommend this to your family, friends type of thing? And it does two things. We have workplace and we have student satisfaction. Would you recommend us as a student to come here? That was high. Our employees love our students. That is not in question. Would you recommend KCKC as a place to work, however, was a negative 17.3. So we have a lot of work to do to really get people to love what they do. So what drove this survey? What drove these results? Communication and inclusion are the clearest, most consistent gaps. Involvement in planning all scored lowest trail benchmark college-wide. Pay shows the largest importance satisfaction gap. Advancement opportunities and recognition for good work are the two lowest rated individual experience items after intent to leave. Actual turnover year to date is 7.79%. Averaged out over the year puts us at roughly 13.3%. The Coupa HR median is 13 to 14%, so we're right there. What can we do? Communication and leadership transparency are critical. Compensation and pay equity are critical. Retention and employee engagement are high. Career advancement and recognition high. And organizational culture and teamwork. And I could argue that organizational culture and teamwork drives the other items as well. And what have we agreed to do? Immediate next steps. Distribution of the full survey analysis, which happened this morning. You can find it on our website, but we'll also post the dashboards that drove the presentation convocation. Distribution of the anonymized results from the Gallagher survey. That's going to take a little bit longer because we have to be very careful how we distribute this information. We're not hiding anything, but it is the way it was done. You can determine based on the title of the position who might have that position and what they might be making and what the difference is.
Yeah.
So we want to ensure that we're including as being as transparent as possible without providing any personal information. And the last immediate step is explore forming an employee advisory committee. Our employees don't feel like they have a say in how the college operates. This gives them an opportunity to determine a way forward, includes them in the decision, and it's not just cabinet or the board that decides what we do next. Thank you. And I'll take any questions if you have any.
As will I.
The employee said advisory committee. How would that be different than the shared governance that we're supposed to be doing now and the various senates, staff senate, faculty senate, college senate?
The simple answer is we don't know yet. And certainly we would include those groups as we think aloud about what that should look like. What it could do is broaden employee participation beyond the Senate, but in the vein of improving communication, whatever we would do would be fully vetted before we launched anything.
I think it would give the opportunity, because what tends to happen with some of the senates is you hear the same voices. So what we want to do, we're thinking with the employee advisory committee, is engaging those that feel like they haven't been heard, giving them an opportunity. But we truly don't know yet. We're in, infant stage of talking about how this might work. And we would, of course, definitely bring this to the board for discussion before we move forward with that.
And there may be, we will develop data-driven processes and approaches. So there may be, I hope there are other things we can do to improve the culture, and it can't be one silver bullet. It has to be, in my opinion, many things on many levels. But when I mentioned we wanted all voices to be heard and respected, absolutely, that includes the existing bodies, the existing senates, other groups. So we have just begun to think through how best to apply the data. And again, it's a work in progress. It's in the very most initial stages, but we wanted the full board to see the data. And we will establish key performance indicators. So we will report back to the board on whether we're moving the needle on improving the culture.
And it's important to note the next time we conduct this survey is fall of 2027. So in my opinion, we have a short runway to make some large progress.
Or if we are not making progress, then we better figure out why.
Well, I commend you, Dr. Vietti, in your short time on board. You've already started tackling this, so thank you as well, Chris.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That concludes the President's report unless you have questions of me.
She's covered a lot, a very good report. Are there any questions on any part of that, the presentations, any part of the report that she gave us?
I think I enjoyed the presentation. I thought it was a lot of good information. I serve and have served on several different committees at my university for the Staff Senate. And so when I think of Staff Senate, I think of those individuals as being people who are the representatives for all employees that are not students and who are not faculty. So I have a hard time understanding what an employee advisory board would do. And I also wonder if those individuals would not have a space at the Staff Senate level to have a subcommittee and or opportunity to speak at that level, so you would not always be hearing from the same individuals. But that's, to me, the beauty of having the Senate, is having representation for your voice to be heard. That's all.
Thank you.
Good point.
Thank you, and fair enough. We are still we know the what. Now we need to process the how, but I want to make it perfectly clear, we would not exclude any of the Senate's from input regarding improving the culture. But it's equally valuable to hear from what's sometimes referred to as the unusual voices. And what I hear you saying is perhaps the Senates can play a role in getting to the quiet voices. So message sent, message received.
Thank you for that comment. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion to accept Interim President Vietti's report?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the interim report from Interim President Dr. Vietti. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Vice President of Academic Affairs and his report, Mr. Jerry Pope. Mr. Pope?
Thank you. As we prepare to begin another academic year, I'd like to organize my update around the 4 priorities of our strategic plan. I've been doing this for some months now, so I'm trying to continue that, and those, of course, are student success, quality programs and services, employee engagement, and community engagement. Those priorities provide a useful lens for looking at the work happening throughout academic affairs. I'll begin appropriately with student success. One example is happening before students even enter the classroom. Our Math and Science Center has been offering an Alex Math Jumpstart this month to help students strengthen their math skills, build confidence, and reduce some of the anxiety that can come with returning to mathematics. At the same time, adult education begins the semester with 371 students enrolled in GED and ESL programs. Now, those are very different populations, but the goal is the same: meeting students where they are and helping them take the next step toward their educational goals. We're also expanding pathways that connect education more directly to careers. Workforce Innovation is developing a new registered apprenticeship in accounting, working directly with our accounting faculty as new certificate programs are developed. We're also working with the Kansas State Department of Education on youth registered apprenticeships, beginning with teacher education. That model could allow high school students to earn dual credit, make progress toward a bachelor's degree, and receive paid work experience at the same time. Our second priority is quality programs and services, and there are several examples this month that demonstrate both quality and innovation. KCKCC and the University of Kansas Medical Center have renewed the Kansas Community College Nurse Partnership Program through 2036. To date, 106 KCKCC students have graduated with both an associate in nursing and a Bachelor of Science in nursing through that partnership. At the same time, Mortuary Science is preparing to welcome its first fully virtual cohort this fall, extending the reach of a distinctive KCKCC program beyond our immediate service area. We're also continuing to focus on the quality of teaching and learning itself. Assessment Day returns to an in-person format this year based directly on feedback from faculty and coordinators, with dedicated time for examining assessment evidence and aligning curriculum with student learning outcomes. This may not be the most glamorous work we do, and I suspect no one has ever put Assessment Day on their vacation itinerary, but it is essential work if we're serious about continuous improvement and student learning. This connects us naturally to our third priority, employee engagement. Our faculty continue to learn, innovate, and represent KCKCC well beyond our campuses. Dr. Andres Cantillo presented his economics research internationally in Portugal. Dr. Ishfaq Ahmed completed specialized biomanufacturing training in monoclonal antibody production.
Whoa,
I know nothing about that as a musician by training.
sounds serious.
Chris Ball earned 12 certifications in personal finance, receiving the Distinguished Educator designation from Next Gen Personal Finance. And Tom Grady presented at the Summer Institute for Distance Learning and Instructional Technology on intentionally integrating generative AI into course design. Those accomplishments matter because the expertise our faculty develop ultimately comes back to our students and strengthens the quality of the education we provide. Finally, community engagement. Perhaps our most visible example is the continued preparation of our new downtown center. During July, career and technical education faculty and staff were actively moving and setting up equipment and instructional resources in preparation for the fall semester. That facility represents much more than additional instructional space. It represents KCKCC bringing education, workforce training, and opportunity directly into the community. That same commitment can be seen in our partnerships with employers, school districts, state agencies, and organizations such as the Associated General Contractors of Kansas, as well as in programs such as Kids on Campus, which served almost 400 young people in July alone. Taken together, these examples demonstrate something I think is important. Our strategic plan is not simply a document that sits on a shelf. We can see it in the work occurring every day, in classrooms, in partnerships, in new programs, and increasingly throughout the communities we serve. As we begin the fall semester, I'm deeply grateful for the work of our faculty, our staff, deans, directors, and academic leaders who continue to turn those priorities into action. Thank you, and that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Pope. Are there any questions or comments for Mr. Pope?
Just want to congratulate you on the 2036 piece for, it's absolutely huge. I know plenty of people who have gone through that, and it's super exciting, particularly when looking towards a career that is truly growing. I mean, absolutely incredible.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
That reminds me of one thing I forgot to say, and I want to thank Debbie Fangman for doing this and for Adam Hadley for bringing this to my attention through Darren. If you come east on I-70, as I do, you'll pass the sign that says that we're the 2026 National Debate Champions. So we got that updated, so congratulations.
Anyone else? May I have a motion to accept the report from our Academic Affairs Vice President Pope?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report by Dr.
Not yet.
Oh, excuse me. Dr. Mr. Pope, Academic Affairs. I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next on our agenda is Dr. Devin Stroman, our Vice President for Enrollment Management and Student Services.
Yes.
Dr.
Good
Stroman.
evening. Okay, I'd like to provide a brief update on the enrollment and several key areas within enrollment management and student services as we begin the fall 2026 academic semester. From an enrollment perspective, I have the most current numbers in front of me as of this morning. I've been asking Chris pretty desperately every morning just to keep me posted as we analyze what's going on this week. For fall 2026, unduplicated headcount is currently down 3.1% compared to fall 2025, and up 1% compared to fall 2024. And fall 2026 credit hours are down 4% compared to fall 2025 and up 2.8% compared to fall 2024. So a little bit about what's going on that I've kept you posted month after month with our dual credit students. We've been doing a really good job working with our districts to getting those in the system. We just had one hiccup school that we're working with, that the students, all students right now in our dual credit, concurrent, and dual enrollment programs are currently attending classes. But getting them in the system to reflect on this report is kind of a different story. One school that we're working with, which has 170 students still needing to be entered in our system, we had to help with applications.
Sorry to interrupt. So just to
No, go ahead.
confirm, though.
Go ahead.
So those 170 students aren't in.
Correct. Sorry. Yeah, it's okay though, because
That's awesome.
they're currently attending class, so we're not losing anything. We're just the reflection on here, and what ended up taking so long, and it is we showed up to the school, and God bless them, the students still need to actually apply.
Yeah.
So we got to go through the application first, and then we'll get them in the system. But I just got confirmation from our assistant director that works with high school partnerships that we have 170 still needing to be entered in the system.
Oh, wow. Congratulations there.
So, we're doing the best we can, definitely. And also, just to keep you informed, if you look at the enrollment report, you're going to see the main campus, the MC number, and our online number in the negatives. Working with our financial aid director and our enrollment management team, we did discover this time last year we had several applications and enrolled students that ended up being AI fraud that we're going to have to be looking out for in the coming semesters. Thankfully, I think I've addressed this to the board that we implemented a third-party software called Voyatech that's going to help reduce that. So more to come on that, but we should be looking at the enrollment report weekly. It's going to continue to get better towards census. So, and also, we are going to be working with our enrollment committee, enrollment management committee, and also our cabinet and Christine White on identifying a enrollment goal for spring 27 that we will have in our strategic plan moving forward. So that's exciting. Since I've been here, we have not had an enrollment goal, so we're going to target one for spring and keep you all posted on the success of that goal.
We have to be intentional. That's what.
Yes, ma'am.
Intentional.
Data has to drive it, right? Yes. So I'm also pleased to share that the college welcomed Dr. Deborah Carter as the new Director of Admissions and Recruitment. Dr. Carter is coming from us from the University of Kansas in Lawrence. As she was the assistant director over there, comes with a load of experience. We're really excited to have her. Her additional strengths and leadership capacity within the enrollment operations is going to be parallel, and that's going to really help us continue to build more intentional recruitment strategies and improve the student enrollment experience. So we're really excited to have her on board. Our Student Success Center continues to be a tremendous resource for our students. In July alone, the center experienced a 26% increase in student traffic, with 1,062 students receiving in-person advising and another 299 students participating virtually. Through July, we have recorded a total of 7,951 student interactions.
Awesome.
And meeting students' basic needs still remains an important part of what we do here. And during July, the Blue Devils Cupboard provided food and personal hygiene resources to 106 individuals, representing 44 households. And I'm also pleased to report that our student housing is at 100% capacity for fall 2026. All students who were previously on the wait list have either secured housing with us or removed themselves from the wait list. This is really a strong indicator of the continued demand of our residential experience. Career Services is also preparing to launch the UConnect Virtual Career Center, which will provide students, alumni, faculty, and employees with a 24/7 access to career resources. And that's going to be a great opportunity for everyone, a really great career development tool that's going to be accessible, especially for our students. And, in closing, moving forward, our focus right now remains obviously enrollment, but really the recruitment season is coming up in the fall. So we are developing strategies and identifying areas that we can really improve on our recruitment. And also creating the conditions necessary for students, all students, to persist, complete, and achieve their educational and career goals. And with that, I'll stand for any questions.
So I'd like to start.
Thank you.
By saying kudos to you and your team for going over and beyond the call of duty to provide customer service to get these students enrolled. And well, first of all, apply so they can
yes,
be
ma'am.
enrolled. That's a great feat. And you've already answered part of my question, which you have a plan for enrollment for the spring.
Yes, ma'am.
Increasing those numbers. I will say, as I was walking through the downtown campus, I felt like a proud parent just looking at all of the wonderful things that we have to offer at the downtown location. But the thing that kept gnawing at me was, what are the enrollment projections? And I know that's important because in my current role, I've been a part of 2 launches of new programs. I've been a part of merging 2 programs, and I've been a part of retiring a program. So I know how important projections are. Do you have any projections beyond spring, particularly for the next 5 years? And if you do, can you share that with us? And if you don't, can you all work on a plan for the next 5 years for projections? I know Census Day is important. We all look for that day. But in order to make sure that we can be viable and that our program will be sustainable, we have to have projected numbers. So do y'all have that?
So yes, ma'am. That is the numbers that we are going to be working on as a team and on cabinet moving forward. That will be in our strategic plan, and more specifically, our strategic enrollment management plan. Yes, ma'am.
And you'll do it for the next at least 5 years?
Yes, ma'am. That's going to be the plan. And with our downtown campus, especially, and I'm glad you mentioned it. When we had our open house, a lot of our community members filled out a survey that we're going to be gathering the results from, and with those results, definitely going to see the successful programming that we already have put in place, and potential programming that we can put on that campus to really drive that number.
Great, because I heard the 2 programs I think are already at capacity, but then I know that there were some challenges with a few of the classes, individual classes being filled, and I believe we need 10 people in a class for it to really make? Is that what it is?
Mr. Pope? Go ahead.
The minimum enrollment for tech classes is 8, but those classes, Ashley knows, but has 19 or 20, I think, is the capacity for the technical education programs due to some safety concerns.
Okay.
But 8 is that floor, but we always try to get above that floor for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Johnson. Anyone else?
Plus, there was a very successful open house.
I believe so.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
And I think I heard the numbers where we had about 250 students come through just this last week here.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, it was a very successful number, and hopefully, the participants got a lot out of it.
Excellent, thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'll offer, at the downtown location, we stopped counting at 308. So that open house that happened on that Thursday.
Awesome.
If I might add a comment, I know I am passing through. A 5-year enrollment projection makes me a little nervous. I would feel better with 3 while we get our land legs, but we are hiring a dean of enrollment management And once we get that person on board, if that person says, we can do 5 years, bring it on. But I am encouraged that we haven't set enrollment goals before, and now we are starting with spring, and then we will just add semesters and years.
I'm encouraged too, because I sit in these meetings monthly about enrollment management. So, so when I saw that we didn't have that, that was a red flag for me. Okay.
All right. Anyone else? Thank you, Dr. Stroman. May I have a motion to accept the report from Vice President Stroman for Enrollment Management and Student Services?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report from Dr. Stroman. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have a report from our Vice President of Finance and Operations, Dr. Patrick Schulte. Dr. Schulte?
Good evening, Chair and members of the Board of Trustees. I'd like to provide a brief overview of the key activities and progress within finance and operations during the past period. Overall, our division remains focused on 3 important priorities. Those priorities are stabilizing and optimizing our new Ellucian colleague SaaS environment, preparing the college operationally for the fall semester that has gone underway, and continuing to strengthen the systems, processes, facilities, and services that support our students and employees. And with that, might I take a moment to say it's a kind of a proud vice presidential or leader moment to be able to have, you know, we worked pretty hard on the site director in relation to the position downtown at the association, and Jason's report tonight, I think you all noted it, but he did an exceptionally good job. Jason is the right person in that role,
Yes.
leading that position downtown. It's not an easy thing when you're opening that new space, and for Jason to stand up here and do that, exceptionally excited about that. And in addition to that, again, excited on my end to be able to work closely, the work that's been done by Jamie O'Brien in partnership with myself and Chris White, and being able to bring that information forward in conjunction with the listening sessions that we conducted on campus, really will move that needle in relation to campus culture. That's a key piece that I think is important for us to continue to take a look at, and for you as trustees to be aware of as we move forward. So excited, and a great job by both of them tonight. As you noted previously before, you always ask me, how do I manage the pieces? It's the people that are underneath me, and giving credit where credit is due. And you see that first and foremost tonight with 2 individuals reporting to you on the exceptional work that they're doing in those areas. In addition to their exceptional work.
Excuse me, Dr. Schulte.
Yeah.
I would like just to add a comment to what you said there, because I don't think we ought to pass over it too quickly about the listening sessions. They were critical. You know, sometimes the right thing comes along at the wrong time, but sometimes the right thing comes along at the right time. And I think that was the right time. And I had the opportunity to attend one of them. And so when employees say things like, you know, we don't think anybody hears us or is listening to us, you know, those things can be incredibly important. And what my experience is they weren't so much necessarily wanting to throw things out there, you know, about running the college or anything like that. I mean, they just want somebody to hear their question, acknowledge it, and give them an answer, give them some kind of an answer. I mean, and I really do think that is a lot of what I think employees, from my experience from the listening sessions, were really seeking. Somebody to acknowledge, you know, I have a question. Who do I ask, or where can I ask, or when can I ask? And somebody actually heard my question and gave me an answer, or they're working on getting me an answer, you know? I think that I don't think we should skip over that quite so quickly. Your point was very well made, and I thank you for including, you know, the comments about the listening sessions. But your leadership in that area at that particular time was really critical for us, and I just want to acknowledge that.
I appreciate that, Trustee Ash, and that is an important piece. It's the work that's done, the SESI employee satisfaction or engagement satisfaction survey is one key piece, but really we collected that information from those listening sessions as well. We want to make sure that everyone who's listening that works in this campus community, and all of you as well, understands that we're continuing to work through those. This is a key piece of it with the SESI survey, but the other side of that is the listening sessions, making sure we're hearing those voices, because again, that's how we're going to move the needle on making sure in fall of 2027, when we take that survey again, the numbers are changing as we move forward. So again, thank you for that, Trustee Ash. I appreciate it. And beginning in the area of finance, much of the team's work has centered on post-go-live stabilization following the transition to a Lucian colleague, SAS, while simultaneously completing fiscal year-end activities, preparing for the audit, and getting ready for the fall semester. So a heavy lift in relation to what's going on in finance as well. In business and auxiliary services, they focused on fall readiness with business office. We're currently reviewing existing workflows and identifying future processes improvement. We talked a lot about that in Finance Committee previously and continue to do that work to make sure that we can get accurate timing and reporting to the Finance Committee. We are also evaluating future options for the Little Leaders childcare space following the closure of its current provider. Our food service partner continued serving more than 400 meals per week during the summer to participants and kids on campus in Upward Bound, and is preparing expanded dining options for the fall. The bookstore is also readying for the fall semester and reported a very strong annual inventory result, and the Wellness and Fitness Center remains stable throughout the summer and expects to return to full staffing before the end of August. In the area of human resources, they continue to play a critical role in supporting the college's strategic priorities throughout recruitment, professional development, employee relations, and organizational effectiveness. Currently, the college has 88 open positions. Again, I state that 88 open positions are actively recruiting. Given the size of our team, that is a monumentous task. Across faculty and staff classifications, HR also welcomed a new talent development manager, strengthening our capacity to invest in employee growth and professional development. I also want to highlight the success of our 4th annual Growth and Learning Opportunity Workshop. The event featured 8 employee-led professional development sessions covering topics ranging from student success and accessibility to technology, wellness, professional purpose, and conflict resolution. This is an excellent example of employees sharing their experience and investing in one another. Looking ahead, HR is preparing to launch a new learning management system that will provide employees with access to more than 1,000 training courses, support compliance management, and allow the college to create customized training. Employee training on the new platform is scheduled to begin in September. In the area of information technology services, they achieved one of the college's most significant accomplishments pretty much behind the scenes, and individuals may not really understand the level of complexity involved with this, but the successful migration of a Lucian colleague to the SAS environment on June 22nd. Following extensive testing, IT worked closely with the Lucian vendors and campus departments to address post-implementation issues and support user adoption. While there were some temporary disruptions, core technology services remained available between 98 and 99% of the time. The team is now focused on continued stabilization and optimization while also advancing team dynamics ticketing system, Time Clock Plus for time management on campus, cybersecurity, classroom technology, and systems supporting the new downtown KCK Community Education Health and Wellness Center. And facility services has also been very productive over the summer. The team continues to advance infrastructure improvement, capital projects, maintenance, and campus modernization. Highlights include the installation of new roofing systems on 4 buildings, successful fire and life safety compliance activities, replacement of aging HVAC equipment, extensive preventative maintenance, and renovations in Centennial Hall, the nursing building, health professions offices, and the science building. Improvements to Centennial Hall also included work focused on air quality and student living conditions. And not to mention the downtown location. Facility services completed furniture installation and equipment relocation to prepare academic programs for the fall semester. The facility also hosted a successful Swope Health hiring event that attracted approximately 85 attendees, demonstrating the facility's continued growth as both an educational and community resource. And finally, our college police department continues to focus on building safety, welcoming an engaged campus environment. Officers participated in National Night Out in Kansas, strengthening relationships with residents, students, employees, and local law enforcement partners. The department also continues professional development and advanced training in areas including emergency communication, Clery compliance, threat assessment, emergency notifications, and campus safety. In closing, I'm proud of the work taking place across the entire Division of Finance and Operations. And again, I cannot do the work. The work cannot be done with these leaders who are doing all of the great things I noted tonight. While we are managing the significant operational demands and preparing for the start of the new academic year, our team continues to focus on improving processes, strengthening infrastructure, supporting our employees, and providing reliable services to students in the college community as a whole. Thank you again for the opportunity to present this tonight, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Dr. Schulte, and you're so humble and always giving credit to your team. However, leadership matters, and it is your leadership that has made the difference in that team. Trustees know that we had to make some tough decisions earlier in the year, and we were just months from opening downtown, and this is the key person here that kept everything on target. So I just can't thank you enough. I had one-on-one, because he was the acting president, I had one-on-one weekly meetings with him, and I know what he was tasked with, and he did not disappoint. So I can't thank you enough. And you know, we've had tours, we've had open house. So instead of the gathering in October being a ribbon cutting, it is going to be a building dedication. And Dr. Schulte is going to lead that. I just can't thank you enough. All that you do, and you make sure, you know, in one of my first meetings, because I was concerned because that was rumors in the community. Oh, but what are you going to do? You're supposed to open downtown. I said, oh, we're still going to open downtown. I said, we have a soft opening July 1st and an official classes starting in August. And I says, oh, really? I says, oh, yes, we have Dr. Patrick Schulte. So thank you. Thank you. And with that, are there any other questions or comments from anyone else?
I just wanted to quickly bounce off of Don's comment related to, or Trustee Ash's comment related to the listening sessions and how vital they were, and we hope that those are going to bounce off with the engagement survey. Yeah. My only one ask is, let's have another listening session after those engagement surveys. All right, I'm hopeful we can have some listening sessions when things are going good, and that would just be my only ask.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, I think that's a great point. But not only is it beneficial for everybody here at the college, it was really beneficial for all of us.
Yeah.
To be able to hear directly what people had to say, what their concerns were, what their thoughts were. And not that it was going to be a big session where all these problems were going to be solved, but it was an opportunity for everybody to be heard and validated that they had concerns and that they were going to be listened to. So I found that it was invaluable for me to be able to participate in those.
Great.
So it was very helpful. Thank you.
Good to hear. Well, thank you again.
Dilly dilly.
Okay.
Move approval of his report.
So moved.
I have a second.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to accept the report from Dr. Patrick Schulte, Vice President of Finance and Operations. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have Ms. Chris Green, our Vice President of Institutional Image Report. I have to look at that title. Dr. Green, Ms. Green, soon to be Dr. Green, right?
Working on it. All right, so we are going to start our night as we look at strategic plan areas with quality programs and services. As you know, we have more than 20 program videos that are approximately 3 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes in length, that really advocate why a student might want to join that program. So we're going to start with that quality service focus to the strategic part with this video.
I chose the PN program here at KCK because it's a great way to start in your nursing career.
What I like most about the program are the people and the students, the teachers, very fun group of people to be with.
I'm an international student. I'm originally from Kenya. I chose KCKC because it's a good environment. When I complete my studies, I want to go back to Kenya, my country, and improve on the quality of care over there because it's a big problem.
We do a lot of hands-on things. We work in the lab, we do clinical, and we all work together to be successful.
I'm so grateful for being here and good opportunities here. It's a good place.
Nice.
Practical nursing. And so that is really our best way to showcase that. Taking that video concept, and then I'm going to apply it to one of the other things you saw in our board report, and that was we helped with the Perkins Grant marketing, and we used clips from programs like this to create small digital ads and social media ads that we could then place out that hit all of the Perkins messaging. And was able to expand that reach with this same video content. We typically do about 4 of these a semester as we work through each academic dean and area. So that was another great win for the college, and we've included that again in this year's Perkins funding and Perkins grant so that we can really market to those students who may not think of a technical track for their program, which is what that grant does. In addition to that, we focused on taking our website to the next level. As many of you know, last year we redesigned our website and launched it. This year, at the start of the academic year, we're relaunching the content management system so that each individual employee can be trained, update their content, and have more access to it now that we have that SEO put in place and some of the technical stuff done. That gives them a lot more freedom to make their own changes and hold their own destiny on their page. When we looked at student success, one of those things that I really want to congratulate the collaboration that pulled together that recruitment open house that was centered in Dr. Stroman's area and included academic affairs and marketing as well. Victor had a large role with that, as did our marketing team. And we had more than 300 people there. There were tours. Jason did a great job. He and his team pulled out the red carpet, pulled out all of the equipment, and really made that day spectacular. So I cannot give enough shout outs. I know we've heard about it today, but that is a huge marketing opportunity. When I was at the WIDEC committee meeting last week, I had like 5 people stop me and say, did I miss the opening? I'm like, no, you missed the recruitment event. We had 300 people come out just to find out if they could take a class with us. We'll have a party October 2nd for the community as a dedication, and then we will celebrate then. But that was all about our students finding out so that they could come register that day. And we appreciated everybody who took time to come out and find out more about our location downtown. Also, when we look at student success, we worked with online orientation very closely. We looked at the back to school fair as well, had a community radio live out here, had students here on campus. It was a great time. Then finally, I want to talk a little bit about community engagement. For community engagement this month, we really focused on looking at ways that we can partner with our community. So marketing every year reaches out to every high school in our top 20 recruitment zone to look for marketing opportunities. We have made those marketing opportunities with Bishop Ward, with USD 500, with Piper, with Tonganoxie, Shawnee Mission. I can list all of our colleges. And whether it's a $250 yearbook ad or a multi-school partnership through a vendor they have, we set aside that budget because there's nothing better than that guerrilla marketing when you're watching a game or your child's performance to see a college that can give you a dual credit class or classes once you graduate. So we really want to be in all of those spaces. And I have to give a shout out to my team for really reaching out and developing opportunities when a school didn't already have one in place. So then the last thing is I want to let you all know we will be having our dedication October 2nd at 2 p.m. downtown. Of course, Cheryl will send you the invitation. Next week, we start our first planning meeting with everybody from Dr. Schulte's team who wants to help plan it, as long as our community partners. And we're going to work out exactly what that day might look like and how we can best celebrate. And the last thing is I want to thank everybody, especially Dr. Vietti, who did this in about 45-minute window of opportunity. She went downtown and KSHB came to interview her, and she did a phenomenal job. It was like she had talked to the media all her life. And then Jason took it over, and he gave her a tour. And I don't know if you all saw the story. If not, we'll try to send out a link. They don't always put the video links out there where we can keep them. Anyway, it was a great story, awesome, and it really showed our space and our students to a great advantage. So I want to thank everybody who helped make all of those things happen. And that's the end of my report this month. If you guys have any questions at all, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you, Ms. Green.
Great job on your social media. Every time I'm on Facebook, all I see is KCKCC popping up. So you're doing a great job, and
yay!
I'm hopeful that you're reaching the audience that you're trying to reach. When I ran in 2019 to be on this board, that was one of the things that was a sore conversation, I think. But over the years, marketing, presentations, representation has improved tremendously. And I'm sure that all of that is through your leadership and your team. So thank you for what you do.
It is truly a team effort, but we are working hard at it.
Yeah, I thought it was a great video. The content, the timing, and the length were perfect.
Thank you so much.
Anyone else?
Well done.
May I have a motion to accept the report from our Vice President of Marketing and Institutional Image?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. At this time, we don't have any unfinished business on our agenda, so we'll move to our new business. And I invite Dr. Vietti to give us an item that we discussed in our retreat. It's the approval of our proposed Board of Trustees guiding principles. Dr. Vietti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. You do have a copy of the draft principles in front of you. You agreed to take them home, put them under your pillows, and consider them. They're also, I believe, in your board book, correct? So I don't know if you would like me to read them out loud. They are your work, but it could be good for the public to hear, the internal community as well as external. So these are draft until you approve them, but they are your work. As a board, we will be fully informed, thoughtfully deliberate, and evaluate all decisions. We will create opportunities for all voices to be heard and valued. We will be transparent by going above and beyond to ensure that the community is publicly informed of all board decisions and accompanying rationales. We will practice the 5 C's: collaboration, communication, coordination, consistency, commitment. We will instill trust with the administration, faculty, and staff by adhering to board policies. We will support board decisions through consensus after respecting differing opinions. We will conduct our business legally, ethically, and morally. We will treat others with respect and expect the same in return.
Okay.
Beautiful.
You slept on it for several weeks now, but if something comes to your attention now that you have a question about or want to add, please feel free to do so. As she said, it's a draft. It's our document, and if there's something you want to add, or certainly there's nothing you want to take out, right? But any Any questions or comments on this?
I just think that's so powerful. I mean, the way that that was messaged, the way that it's framed, and then even the order it's in, I just,
Yes.
thank you.
And this was the result of our retreat. This is our voices. Dr. Vietti facilitated and wrote down what we stated. And thank you for doing this. Thank you for your leadership and guiding the board. Any? Before I think we're going to vote on this, I would like to see this incorporated into our trustee handbook. What do you- I mean, it has a date for approval, and we still have to review our handbook. We haven't done that, but still, I believe that this should go in there if you all are in agreement.
Absolutely.
Okay. I mean, if you accept, and I think the way the heads are nodding, I think we're going to accept this.
Yeah, would you like a motion, Madam Chair?
Please, if everyone's on board here.
Yeah, I'll move to approve the guiding principles as written.
So moved.
We have a
Second.
We have a motion and a second to accept the Board of Trustees guiding principle as presented to us, as discussed by us at our retreat on August 1st. A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries. Thank
Thank
you
you.
again, Dr. Vietti. And next on our agenda is the presentation of the draft budget and mill levy rate scenarios for fiscal year 2027. This is presented to us by Dr. Patrick Schulte, our Vice President of Finance and Operations.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you again for a chance to present to you tonight on what we discussed at the Finance Committee. So I have a PowerPoint presentation that I can work through to talk a little bit about the conversation we had there. As we get into the board decision today, we are asking the board to provide direction and intent on the mill levy various scenarios. As Trustee Ash noted in Finance Committee, there was a review and communication around various scenarios to be brought forward to the board for consideration tonight. Budget at a glance, reflecting back to when we began this conversation, total budget of about $98.4 million, taking into consideration our enrollment projections based on what we put forward initially, looking at fund balance opportunities to assist us as we move forward with state aid risk, and then what does the recommended mill levy become as we move forward. Changes since FY26, state revenue uncertainty. We saw a decrease in our SB 155. We see rising costs, as does everyone, with everything that we do. But we're hopeful in relation to our potential enrollment growth, our downtown campus expansion, and then also taking into consideration the property mill and percentage growth on the assessed valuations as we move forward. The state reduction, as noted, about $1.6 million we're facing this year. Continued federal funding uncertainty, which seems to be almost daily in relation to what may or may not happen from a funding standpoint for us based on federal funding and grant opportunities. And then also enrollment sensitivity. We saw a little bit of a shift in relation to what we're doing from an enrollment standpoint. Want to make sure that we're taking into consideration what that sensitivity might be as we move forward and look at potential revenue risks with this budget. The mill levy scenarios, the Finance Committee, and I know Trustee Ash noted, and I actually have a quote from the meeting, Trustee Kump made a motion to bring forward recommendations for mill levy scenarios of revenue neutral, a 1.0 mill levy, 1.25 mill levy, and we did include a 1.5 mill levy at that time for consideration by the full Board of Trustees. Again, I know Trustee Ash noted stopped at 1.25, and if you guys did not want to consider 1.5 tonight, I have the presentation, but it's up to you tonight what I present. With that, in front of you are what I can highlight for you all as well is revenue neutral budget situation and scenario for the institution in FY27. If we hold revenue neutral for this year, the mill rate will be 22.732, a decrease of 0.9 mils. That results in a $628,000 decrease in the annual operating budget in relation to the expenditures. So the potential exposure for the institution, the work that will need to be done if this revenue neutral position is approved by the board tonight, would mean the administration goes to work with President Vietti to come up with what it is we do to make sure we're covering the difference of $628,000. The second scenario taken into consideration was a 1 mil levy reduction. That brings us down to 22.642 on our mill. The reduction dollars per mill rate was about 224,000 relative to the other position. But then taking that into consideration with the increased costs and for our expenditures would be 853,159 as we move forward. Those are taking into consideration salary expenses that we're taking into consideration for employees on campus and general increase in costs overall. When we looked at the 1.25 mil levy reduction, moving the mill to 22.392, that is an $845,000 or $846,000 reduction based on just the mill rate 1 year to the other. With the expenditures included in that as well, that would pull the institution into a 1.4, just under $1.5 million reduction needed to transact on this budget, taking into consideration transfer from reserves to balance the budget, in addition to expense mitigation through the process of efficiency and expense review. In the final scenario, at 22.142 was a 1.5 mil levy reduction. That levy reduction per the mill rate brings in $1.5 million less to the base. With that and adding in the expenditures as noted previously through consideration, that would bring us to just under $2.1 million in reductions for the year. So in consideration of each of these, I wanted to highlight the mill levy history as well. We've talked about this previously, and individuals might ask the question of what's happened in relation to our mill over the past. This goes all the way back to 2008. And you can see that in 2017, since 2017, the mill rate has hovered around 0 to 1% or below, depending on the year. You can see 2017, we've got a 0%, 0%, 1%, 0%, 0%, 0%, 0%, -4, -10, and last year again held the mill flat. One of the things I want the board to take into consideration, we talked about at finance, was the years prior to 2017. You can look at the fluctuations not only in the assessed valuations, but also in what was being done with the mill rate. I think that's something that's important to take into consideration as you consider what mill position you are taking tonight. We want to make sure, and our goal and our hope and conversation at Finance Committee was, how do we mitigate it from being dramatic change to dramatic change? You can see that in the chart. If you look back to 2011, 2010, you can see it going from -4 up to 3%, 17% increase in the mill at that point in time. You can see that then drop down to 0, and 2 years later, they launch it back up by 11%. That's something to take into consideration when looking at this. We want to make sure that the decisions being made at this point in time, and while there is an idea in relation to what we're trying to do to balance the mill rate and to look at what our reliance is on those dollars, we want to make sure that we're not setting ourselves up for a scenario down the road 2 years from now that looks very much like the 2010 through 2013 era. With that, the mill's various scenarios outlined, you can see that each one of those scenarios, last year we were at 23.642 was the approved mill rate. If we go revenue neutral, again, it's 22.732 or a $628,000 reduction. 1.0 is an $853,000 reduction. 1.25 is a $1.5 million reduction. And the 1.5 mil levy reduction results in a $2.1 million reduction in budget. As you can note as well, and while assessed property valuations are an important piece of it, you can see that of all the years, all the way back to 2020, this will be the lowest year since well before 2020. I also want to reiterate an emphasis that we talked about at Finance Committee and here as well. You can see it from this chart, the areas with which we rely on for our revenue. The big blue on the bottom is our county property tax allocation. And you can see while there's an effort from 2024 on to start to work towards how do we reduce our reliance on that, that's going to have to come through a strategic strategy developed by the Finance Committee along with the President in relation to how do we make up a difference while reducing another area. That's an important key piece for us as we move forward, because we can't necessarily tuition revenue ourselves out of this situation because it will become unaffordable to our students. So we want to make sure that we're focused on our mission and what we're doing here as an institution, at the same time reducing the reliance on some of those key pieces like county property tax. The other areas, as we look at those large numbers and say, well, if we go with a various scenario and it requires us to reduce by $1.5 million, we have to think about where is the institution going to look for those dollars as we go forward. 1.5 million when essentially 54% of our expenses on campus are salary and benefits. And while there are some key areas for us to be able to focus on, one of the things we talked about at Finance Committee is oftentimes it's leveraged in areas where they have large budgets. For us, that's either going to be people, it's going to be facilities, that's deferred maintenance, or it's going to be information technology. Areas with which we've made commitments to invest in as you have in the last couple of years and continue as we move forward are the areas where we're going to have to take into consideration when we look at some of those expense reductions based on efficiency. Major expense drivers for this budget are really the salaries and benefits, whether that's COLA or Gallagher. The implementation of the Gallagher study is a key piece that we've talked about, and making sure that we're investing in that going forward is a commitment that the board has made to the campus community as a whole to take that into consideration. Areas of maintenance expense going up, and then also keeping in mind the downtown campus. While we had cash in relation to building the downtown campus, the expenses associated with running that building are very real. It's going to take a while to generate the type of revenue and tuition down there to be able to offset some of those costs. So those dollars are going to come out of areas of reserves in order for us to cover the costs as we move forward. So we're already leaning pretty heavily on that to be able to cover some of those expenses for downtown. So again, I come back full circle, and I know it was a pretty quick presentation, but the information is really in front of you tonight. The revenue neutral position is a $628,000 reduction in budget for us as an institution. So while it is even holding there at revenue neutral, we still have to make expense reductions in order to balance this budget. And you can see each one of the mill scenarios in front of you, which gives you the information needed to make a decision tonight. With this, there's 3 agenda items on there. It's one where the board tonight's going to need to make a decision in relation to what they're going to set that mill rate at, because with that, timeline-wise, in the budget timeline provided by the county, we have to then go out and publish the budget so that we can have the budget hearing the next month as well. So the work is in front of you all tonight as trustees, and the information is on the screen, and I will turn it over to you, Madam Chair, to guide the conversation.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Schulte. At this time, we will have a discussion on what we want to do. The next item will be when we'll take a vote, but now it's a discussion. And I know we heard from Trustee Ash a little bit earlier about some of the conversations that the Finance and Operations Committee had. So I would like for you to kind of circle us back, and the Finance Committee kind of give us some guidelines on what you were thinking. Then I just want to hear what other trustees are thinking as well.
Do you want to start there? Can I ask Dr. Schulte a couple questions about his presentation?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So the one question I have, if you can go back a couple slides, you said we're at like a $600 and something $1,000
Yep.
difference from, it says budget reduction. So is that, because with revenue neutral, aren't we bringing the exact same amount of money as we did last year?
That's correct.
So
Yep.
what does that number represent, that $627,000?
That's our increased costs of our staff. It's our increased costs of materials on campus. So it's essentially all living costs associated with increased costs, much like one year to the next, right? So we're looking at inflationary costs associated with any materials, any contracted services, any supplies. And then on the salary side of things, it's taking into consideration our negotiations with the faculty union, as well as any staff allocations based on the Gallagher study.
Okay. Because I really don't like that it says budget reduction if it's the exact same budget we had last year. Yeah, their costs are more, but I feel like that's almost a little misleading how it says it's a reduction if we still have the same budget.
The other piece of that is your reference is to a revenue reduction. We're not reducing our revenue. We have to reduce our budget. And so the reality of this situation is, and on the previous slides, you'll see that up at the top of this one, where it is revenue neutral, the very top line, dollar reduction per mill rate is 0. So coming in and saying that it's also a 0 based on our budget wouldn't be the reality to show you, unless you all said to us, which is actually the work we would have to do. If you went with revenue neutral, we need to come back to you with a budget that's balanced to 0. That 627 would go away because we'd have to make expense reductions in the categories up above. It's giving you an indication of the amount of dollars that we will have to reduce as an institution in order to balance that.
Correct. Okay. And then you said the lowest year since 2020. When you said that, were you talking about the mill rate? Where this will be the lowest mill rate since 2020?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. And then I was just curious on.
Yeah. And I think it's even before that. I could actually get you a date on what it is. I have it all the way back to 2008. So I could get you an idea what the mill rate was. I have it in an Excel spreadsheet on my desktop that I could send to you.
And I was just, I mean, yes, it's the lowest mill rate since 2020. I was kind of curious on what the budget was in 2020 versus what the budget is now, because sometimes with the property tax evaluations, it's hard to tell what the numbers with mill rates versus the actual dollar amount.
We can pull that as well. We can pull it from all of our audits and get you an idea what the budgets were for all those years as well.
And that's all the questions I had. I was just kind of curious on this. And I want to see if anybody else has any questions.
Is this taken, is this taken into consideration? You know, we had a discussion earlier in the year about we had excessive money in reserves, and I know that some of that has to help with downtown.
Yeah.
But if we kept the revenue neutral, isn't there enough from that excessive to cover for revenue neutral?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And you'll see, Madam Chair, and others as well. And again, it's one of the ways in which how do you present it so that it seems clear. You'll see on the document in front of you, the highlighted transfer from reserves to balanced budget. I zeroed that out at 0. That's an area where if we put in that we're going to transfer $627,567, the bottom line of this would be balanced. But that's a decision that you all as trustees will have to make on whether you make a determination to use those funds to be able to offset the difference.
Yes, and for public knowledge to also know that we can't deplete our reserves. That's a requirement that we have a reserve. But at the same time, if we have too much in there, let's try to show some compassion for the community who pay these high property taxes, including me,
Yes.
including all of you. Yes.
Madam Chair, do you mind if I share a little bit from the Finance Committee
Please,
meeting?
I want
Before
you
you
all
do,
to
can
do
I ask a
that.
question?
Yes, to help us.
Is there a document that I can see? Because I can't see what's online. I don't have anything that I can review personally other than what's up there on the screen. Is there a document that I can hold in my hand and read notes and read numbers?
We can get that to you.
Thank you.
It wasn't in our packet.
Yeah.
So I had a question. So we had our last investment. Has it matured already?
The
last CD or the bond that we had?
Yeah, so our two CDs did mature in July, and Dr. Schulte, I don't believe I think it's for the next Finance Committee meeting to discuss how we want to handle those two matured CDs.
Correct.
I believe, yeah.
That's correct.
Yes, we have it.
And how much do we currently have in reserve, and what by statute what are we required to have?
Currently in our reserves, based off the last Finance Committee meeting, in our unrestricted cash balance, there's $26.6 million. We do get a June allocation from the county property tax. So the fact is we get an early allocation on that county property tax, which is then taken into consideration after you set the mill. So it's 27 money that's already given to you in 26. And then on the restricted cash side of things, there's $51,433,563. So with that, that's an area where if you look at it and say, from a operations standpoint, we're about $7 or $8 million. Our burn rate was about $7 or $8 million per month. So if we're taking that into consideration, say at the 7, it's probably 7 months. At the 8, we're getting down into the 6 area, 6 months of reserves. And based off of last year's allocation from KBOR, I think we needed a 3 to 5 month reserve. But Dr. Vietti, I don't know if you remember. Maybe you weren't a part of it. Okay, yes. Yeah, last year we did that because we had to certify Trustee Ash. I don't remember how many months exactly they were requiring. but
6 months.
Was it 6 months?
If you had more than 6 months, they were gonna
Yeah,
whack your allocation some more.
yeah.
Well, I do recall this part. There were 3 categories of money apart from tiered and non-tiered funding. One category was student success, one was B&I,
Correct.
and the third was,
Uh,
I'm sorry,
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't remember, but if you had more than 6 months reserve, you were not eligible to receive those 3 pots of money.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
May I?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll, and I will open the floor also to Trustee Ash and Trustee Cahar if they, anything otherwise from that meeting. I will say this, obviously took the longest time in the meeting, and there was a lot of discussion. I think to frame it really well, Trustee Cahar and myself came in a little guns blazing at first, and I think appropriately really trying to understand the mill rates, the dollar amounts, where the things have come in with what we're trying to look to do. You know, we asked for a 2 mil scenario reduction, a 3 mil reduction, and how would that impact the school and what expectations would be set from there. You know, Trustee Ash filled in with a lot of historical experience on things to look into and how we work towards those expenses, particularly when we're looking at the downtown campus. You know, we have estimations about what we think the expenses are going to be, but until we see a full year running, we may not be 100% sure on what that actual expenditures are going to be. So, you know, those were some of the initial conversations. As we started to kind of dig into the weeds of the actual dollars and cents and then the mill reductions, you know, there was conversations about how we need to, or need is a strong word. We should do our part in essence for the community where we have the availability, but we don't want to do so in a way that puts us at a large detriment from the school and impacting our students, while also acknowledging that we can reduce this year. And you know, even going revenue neutral is a reduction of 0.90 mils. So that was kind of some of those initial discussions. So then what ended up happening from there after Trustee Cahar and I really kind of dug into, well, what about 1.5? What about 2? Why not here? Why not there? I think what was most impactful from my perspective was then the discussion of how do we do this in an appropriate manner without feeling like, one, we didn't do anything for the community, but 2, I think even more importantly, not putting so much of a shift in one direction that next year we now have to raise the mill because we may have been so under in a reduction. And I think that, you know, on the flip side too, going a little bit further, like you know, my suggestion became, you know, the 1.25. It wasn't a scenario in there, but you know, one of the things about that was also, and Trustee Cahar mentioned this as well, challenging as appropriate the budgets to see where there is inefficiencies that we can tackle as well. So it was trying to find that balance of kind of tackling some of the inefficiencies if there is any, or finding that out there, and then while also not putting us in a position where next year we're now questioning, do we need to increase the mill? And that's the last thing that we wanted to go to there. And then I think the last comment that I'll make that was just as impactful, and I commented a little bit earlier today on this too, was that 58%, and it is I don't know if we named it there, but it was the goal to 50, right? Is how can we as a school find revenues to get our goals down from a 58% of property taxes to 50% of property taxes, right? And showing that we can sustain the school and the funding for that school halfway ourselves, right? And And then I think most importantly, Dr. Vietti and Dr. Schulte, I credit you both here while saying this will be a long-term tiered approach, and the hopes will be that we can maybe tackle some of these challenges throughout a multiple year period, and then hopefully the taxpayers can see some of that on their end too. Trustee Cahard, Trustee Ash, please fill me in on anything that I didn't mention.
I think you covered it. I think you covered it pretty well. We've got to, as I've said before, it's a balance. We have to balance it, and we're elected to carry out this responsibility in a way that the community trusts us, but the community also includes the college community. It also includes everybody that's employed here, includes all the students that come here, that students' future that are, counting on being able to come here, the parents that are counting on being able to, have their children here, and those people are taxpayers too, so it's a balance. But I think one of the last things we want to do is not be thoughtful or deliberate enough, and we cut too deep, then to have to turn around and raise the mill levy. It's a fact, folks. Expenses are going to be up, and revenue's going to be down, whether it's from the state or whether it's from the federal side of things, or maybe some other sources of income that we have, to include tuition and fees depending on enrollment and so on and so forth. And so we have to control the things we can control and work on the things that we can work, like expanding enrollment, increasing enrollment, and having, the students paying the freight, if you will, as the model was designed, a third from the state, a third from the students, and a third supplemented by local ad valorem taxes. It's always been that way for 103 years now, so this is nothing new. That said, Patrick highlighted some stuff back in, I think you said 2010, 11. Sure. What was going on there was when we were committed to building Tech 1, Tech 2, Tech 3. That's what was going on in those years there. That was a $35 million bonded project. And I'm happy to report that I think we've paid that bond off, or we're about to make the last, bond payment on that. But by any metric you want to use, or any thoughts you want to think about Tech, you're pretty much going to come out that it was successful. It has been successful. It continues to be successful, and it will be successful because the thoughtfulness of the board at that time was, this is where higher ed is going, and this is where this state particularly is going and needs to go because of the nature of our agriculture and industry, business and industry, and aviation and manufacturing, which are the sources of revenue for this state, primarily energy, and so on and so forth. So, and then again in 2020, we had the Centennial Hall project, if you will, which we started, and then COVID interrupted. That was a $22 million, project there. And again, by any metric you want to look at, that's successful here. I mean, the students, those dorms are rented, and the income that comes in for that is supporting it. And in my opinion, it's transformed the whole culture of the college here. Having students living on campus here and supporting one another in all of the various activities and things. You know, it's been a transformative piece of our culture since we opened that business. So I think we have the same, obviously we have the same responsibility now, this board does, that we be thoughtful and intentional about it, that we be well informed about it, which Patrick has given us a lot of good information, and we may still have questions that we need to get answers to, and that we, you know, are intentionally deliberative about it, and then we come to a decision that, you know, we all can live with, if you will. And nobody ever said this job was going to be easy. And you're not going to get a pay raise, okay? That's don't think you are. But guess what? You're not going to get your pay cut either, because nothing from nothing leaves nothing, you know. So, I think Trustee Kump summed it up, and Trustee Cahar's given you a great indication of, you know, the great questions, you know, that he asked, and Jeff asked, you know, great questions as well. And our staff is just amazing, you know, at finding the information, anticipating the information we're going to need, and looking at it. Because again, I mean, it's something we do. It's something we do every year. We do all the time. And I'm fully confident this board will come up to speed, will one day be able to say, I am well informed about this, you know, and we'll be able to, you know, answer to the public or whoever has questions about it.
And the presentation's been passed out to you all. I do want to reiterate tonight, just for clarification too, Madam Chair and Interim President Vietti, and for the rest of the board. The decision tonight's really on setting that mill rate, right? The mill rate sets the foundation for with which we go back as an administration and work on what is the budget, where do we look for those reductions, are we utilizing reserves, do we come back with strategies that is then approved through the budget hearing next month through presentation. So that's a key piece as well, is setting that foundation of the mill rate. You all a month ago decided not to exceed revenue neutral. The next phase of that is setting that mill rate indication. Trustee Cahar, you asked a question. You know, revenue neutral holds us at revenue constant. If we go down 1.0, that's $224,498 in reductions on the mill allocation, property taxes that we would get. You might ask a question of like, why is it only 224? Because the revenue neutral position is already a 0.9 reduction. Every half a mil is about $1.2 million. So every piece that you go beyond that increases by 1.2 million. So if you go to 1.5 mil levy reduction, you're looking at a $1.5 million reduction because of the fact that you're increasing by that $1.2 million, or it's $2.4 million per mil.
So in the committee's deliberations, the three of us reached consensus that we believe the most prudent place to be is no more than 1.25. So for the rest of you trustees, that's kind of where the committee came out, and that's where we kind of sort of start. And then this body decides, or we live with that, or, you know, we can't live with that, and we work it out tonight.
One clarification there, Trustee Ash. I believe we agreed no more than 1.5. That being said, I agree with 1.25, but I don't want Trustee Cahar. I don't want to misspeak if that was not the way that you wanted to go there. Yeah.
And I'd like, after you speak, I want to see if any of our other trustees have anything to say as well. We appreciate you all guiding us in this conversation, but they may have questions of you or questions of Dr. Schulte. So go.
So the way I look at this is, we're looking at these big, red, scary numbers, and every time there's a property tax evaluation increase, that's what happens to the property tax payers. When we stay flat, their budget gets these big red numbers in it, just like we're getting in ours. And so when I'm looking at these numbers, the way I'm looking at it is, Yeah, there's some negative numbers here, but when you have negative numbers, it actually makes you make tough decisions on where budget cuts need to happen, where the spending just can't happen. Maybe not budget cut, maybe just some spending that had been occurring might need to stop. Because every time the taxes go up for taxpayers, they have to make those decisions. And I think we're in the position this year as a college where we can make, we either if it's dipping into some of the reserves we have, or if it's a spending cut, whatever it happens to be, we're in the position where we can do that. Now, we do have the downtown campus that we got some unknowns on. We don't know exactly how much everything's going to cost us. But so what we're looking at, and we're looking at numbers, and we have to make tough decisions. As a board, when we make decisions to take increases, the opposite's happening to everybody at home when they get their tax bill. So the reduction, when we talked about these numbers, and just for clarification, I was thinking of the reduction off of the revenue neutral rate. And that's where there was a little confusion of from the approved from last year to the, and so when I looked at this again, once I got home, I saw, oh, well, these are numbers based off of the, with the 0.9 is taken into account. And so that kind of threw me off a little bit, just for transparency on that. I personally think that if we do go into the red a little bit, you know, if you're going off of the chart that, I'm not sure exactly what this lays out, the one that we got in committee might look a little different. It's a different layout, different form. If we're going off of the revenue neutral rate of 22.732 mils, I think that if we did do, I was trying to do the math on it real quick, what would it look like for a mil reduction on that number? What scenario would it put us in?
Trustee Kehar, and you're so when you're asking for a mill reduction on top of revenue neutral, you're essentially then saying 0.9 is already off the table, is already taken off. To go revenue neutral, you're already decreasing the mill by 0.9 mils, or just under 1 mil. Adding 1 mil on top of that means we're now reducing the mill by 1.9 mils.
Correct.
Which is a scenario beyond what was, you know,
and
the,
that's what
the
threw me,
recommendation.
and that's what threw me off a little bit, because when I'm thinking revenue neutral, I'm saying, okay, if we took in $50 million last year, whatever number, if we can reduce, what would it be off of the number from last year? If we took in 50 million last year, can we reduce it a mil from that 50 million? I mean, that's kind of how I see it, to keep it clean, so it's
based on the assessed values. That's exactly what it'd be doing. It'd be reducing it by 1.9 mils, because
so with the 1 mil reduction, it'd be reducing 1.9 mils
total.
Correct.
Total. Yep.
Correct.
As a whole, because really, when you look at it and go revenue neutral based on assessed valuations growing by, and we used less than the 8% that was provided to us. We went down to 4% of that assessed valuation, because the assessment valuation is going to come in differently. It could be higher, it could be lower. And we heard when the presentation happened that we should probably go on the conservative side of less than that, based on individuals who would kind of lobby on behalf of having it reduced for them. So we used a lower number than that. But even there, because essentially if we went flat as an institution, we'd be seeing an increase of revenue. Even if we kept the mill rate exactly the same, we'd see probably $1.5 million to $2 million in increase, just because assessed values have gone up.
Correct.
So when we hold revenue neutral, we're already reducing it by 0.9 relative to what you would have gotten had you hold the mill constant.
And so that's kind of, so we're talking about for what the budget is, and I'm thinking of when I get the tax statement in the mail. So what does that look like to me? Is it a mill reduction or is it flat? And so if it's a 0.9 decrease for the college budget, it's probably the same amount on my tax bill that I get in the mail. Very close. It's a little bit plus or minus. And so when I'm talking about a mill reduction, I'm talking about what the taxpayer would see. So we're going to get there the same way. We're talking
Oh, I see
And
what
that,
you're
and that
saying.
calculation
And so-
is one I don't know that I would know how to do on a per household basis. It's the fact that 16% of all the full mill goes to the college.
Correct.
So when we're taking in consideration of the in total 100% that you owe on property tax, 16% of that is represented by us. So by us making an adjustment of 0.9 on the mill, we would have to adjust then what is that percentage relative to what it was a year ago, then apply that percentage to the 16%, because you'd have to weight it on the 16% to figure out what that number is going to be. And of course, it's going to be some number greater than 1, but I don't know what that number would be.
I think
Does that make sense?
I understand.
Sure.
I understand what
Maybe
you're
that-
saying. I'm just trying to explain. So when I'm talking about a mill reduction, I'm talking about for the taxpayer that sees a mill reduction on their statement that they get in.
Mhm.
For us on our budget, that would look like a 1.9 mill reduction. I understand
If
exactly
you
what you're
went
saying.
one beyond the revenue neutral.
Correct. Yeah. And so
Because even now with the revenue neutral, they would see it as a 0.9 reduction.
Yeah, one
in
clarifying
mills, not
question.
money,
In mills.
not
yeah.
money. And I'm talking about money.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're, okay, so you were talking about the total dollar amount reduction of,
And I think that that's a key piece and a factor here is to say the individual is going to see an increase on their assessed valuation of their home, but their tax dollar amount is going to be exactly the same despite the fact that their valuation of their house went up. So if I paid X number, I don't know what that number is going to be, but say I paid, $900 last year, and my assessed valuation of my home is going to go up by 8%, and I'm still paying $900 going forward.
Heather, thank you all for this
I know
robust
it's-
conversation.
Sorry. Yeah.
There's
Other trustees, we want to hear your voice as well. And if you have anything to say, we're not, just,
Yeah, I think when we were having some conversations, because we went to 2 and they even said, well, what would it look like at 3 mills? Remember when we were talking about that? And thought, well, maybe 1.5 would be a good compromise. I think it's safe to say, based on my corporate experience, there's always things that can be done. As homeowners or even renters, we have no choice but to tighten the belt. That's just the way it is. But I think that, Trustee Cummings, you're talking about 1.25 based on this scale. Okay, that makes sense. And thank you for the clarification on the 0.9 mils.
Yeah.
So,
And I would tell you, Trustee Sanchez, as well, not that it's under consideration, but a 3 mil levy reduction would be a reduction in the mill rate allocation by about $5.2 million.
Okay. Yeah, and we do have to be thoughtful, and just as you're saying, Trustee Ash, you could potentially go overboard and misstep and things happen, and then you have to end up raising, and it kind of nullifies any kind of progress that we thought we would have made. I think 1.25, I think that's a good midpoint between the 1.5 that we all kind of thought we were going to go to and the 1 mil. That's kind of how I'm seeing that as a viable compromise.
So, as Patrick pointed out, one of the considerations is our revenue risk right now, as near as we can forecast it and estimate it, is about $3 million. So what we do with this is going to reduce revenue, and then if we get hit, let's say, with that $3 million shortfall in revenue, and we have no way. My crystal ball is broken. I have no way of really seeing or knowing what that is going to be. And trust me, we are doing everything that we can do or are empowered to do in terms of being engaged with KCKCC, being engaged with ACCT, talking to legislators, state and federal, keeping up with what's going on, trying to anticipate. I mean, we're not just sitting back and taking it. You know what I mean? I mean, we're out there actively trying to work and do everything. That's, in my opinion, that's our job. You know, as trustees, that's what we are required to do. And I think I would like the board to really consider thinking about, let's do a little, you know, right now, but let's lower it. Good faith effort to lower it, and then we make a commitment as a board, and we make a commitment with our administration and staff, and we're going to have a new president coming on board. We want to have a situation where we are setting up our new president to be successful, if you will, and you know, not come in the game in the fourth quarter behind by 21 points, you know, so to speak. I mean, it's football season, so you have to excuse me, but we want a new president to come on board and have, you know, a good situation, a solid situation from which then we get the new president. You know, one of our charges will be, this is an issue here. We've got to figure out a way to reduce expenses thoughtfully and intentionally without causing, you know, as little harm as possible, if you will, in the process, and then do it again next year, and then again do it again the next year, and move more intentionally and strategically, thoughtfully over time, you know, and do it that way rather than not do it that way, and 1 or 2 years from now you're forced to look at having to raise the mill. And to me, that seems like a much better approach. Having been in a couple of the situations before where we, you know, we did raise the mill levy, and at least one of those occasions was for tech, which again, by all accounts, has been incredibly successful. And so now here we are again with the downtown campus, and we need to let the dust settle. We need to let that settle in, and we need to then be able to do cost analysis. We need to know what that center's costs us to run it for a year, actually. And then we will, again, we'll be better informed, I think, to forecast going forward. President and staff and cabinet will be better informed to say, okay, we're going to need to make some adjustments overall, and we all know where we're going, and we're all trying to get to the same place, you know, at the same time.
So,
Dr.
I'm sorry.
Dr. Vietti.
Thank you for allowing me to add my perspective with the president's hat on. I reinforce what Trustee Ash said. You want to find the best possible new president while not hamstringing that individual with a budget that cannot support the initiatives, the programs, and services that president and his leadership team and faculty and staff see value in. One thing that has not been brought up, there are some projectionists, if you will, who are not as concerned with state funding for fiscal year 27, but they are very concerned about state funding in fiscal year 28. And so to me, that begs a prudent approach to balancing the needs of the college and the needs of the taxpayers until we know what state funding will be in fiscal year 28. And the other thing, and you've heard us talk about it, it's out there, but we the college need to be intentional about seeking revenue growth through enrollment growth, perhaps modest tuition and fee increases based on comparable data across the state and comparables within our area, our market population. And I am just building a strong case in my mind for certainly a mill levy decrease, but as modest as it possibly can be while respecting the needs of the taxpayers.
So then would revenue neutral, because that's what the community already thinks we've decided on, is revenue neutral, based when we voted the other month, about a month or so ago. So if we went revenue neutral, would that be the least blow?
It would.
Yeah. So I'm just concerned with the economy and the way just things are, period, that if we make even a 1.25 cut, then next year we may have to raise it 2.5. So why not do revenue neutral? That's a more modest, and then from this point start saying, okay, what ways can we reduce? You mentioned, Trustee Cahar, that there's, probably some waste. And, people probably don't want to hear that, but just take a closer look at where's the college spending money? Well, I know most of it is salary and benefits, but beyond that, is there, because if we don't retain or attract high-quality employees, then we're still shooting ourselves in the foot.
Yeah. I think that's an important piece as well, as Dr. Vietti, or Interpresident Vietti noted as well, is if we're looking at growing FTE, that means we're going to have to then invest in what additional faculty and classroom opportunities that we have. The classroom opportunity is going to be renovating space, deferred maintenance on this campus is something that we're all too familiar with. And then also making sure that we have adequate space for those individuals that we're hiring to teach those students and bringing those students to attract to this campus as well. So, there always are, and I think there might be some assumptions that even with the budget as presented, again, we're looking at the mill rate tonight, but as we present the budget, every area does go through a review of what their budgets are on an annual basis and look for areas of reduction. I think some of the key pieces are some of the areas the board has made investments in. We don't want to lose those investments as well. Right, the Aleutian SAS migration was a huge piece of that. There's costs associated with the infrastructure of that going forward. That is, a board initiative approved and millions of dollars put into that. We don't want to see it lost, and I'm not saying it would be, but it's one of those where it's like, that's an area where it becomes a fixed cost, not necessarily a variable cost. And that's true in some of the other areas as well, as we look at what are we trying to do for deferred maintenance, what things can we put off as we go forward. As Trustee Cahar noted, right, as you set this mill rate, what we come back to you with through the work of the administration along with Interim President Vietti is those are the hard decisions that you all will have to make on where are we making those reductions. Are we cutting them from personnel? Are we cutting it from deferred maintenance? Are we cutting it from IT infrastructure? Because all the other areas aren't substantial enough to make a huge difference, but we can look at that. And that's a key piece that we do every year when we go through the budget cycle already. So, there's opportunities for us to explore whatever those key pieces are, and also then looking at what are the reserves, what's the strategy in relation to those reserves, what do we want those to be as we move forward? Because again, the mitigation of the reduction on the mill rate so that it doesn't down the road turn into something where you're increasing the mill, but also then reducing the amount of reserves that we have as an institution as well, as a strategy that finance committees talked a lot about. So I think giving the time and the ability for that group to continue to look at that and develop that strategy over time. Beyond this, we're under a little bit of a time crunch, but to develop that over time, to come back and go, here's a 3 to 5 year strategy in relation to what we're doing on mill rate and our reserves, that doesn't necessarily put us into a situation where we kind of see those spikes.
So if I could add to your comments, when the new president comes in, and even perhaps while I'm here, I think it would behoove us to look at programs that we can grow without adding new faculty and staff, because they're not at maximum capacity yet. So that is one thing. But the other thing is this: our most valuable resources are people, our faculty and staff that we have here right
100%
now.
agree.
And we've got to take care of them and retain them, because you heard Chris White say how passionate they are about our students. So that's what I wanted to add, Dr. Schulte.
A question for me.
I would like to respectfully disagree with kicking the can down the road. Cities, municipalities, they do this all the time. They find themselves in, well, we can do it next year, we can do this, we can do this. I think that our taxpayers deserve a break. They deserve a cut. We have money in reserves. If we can't find the things this year where where there's opportunities in the budget, then we take it out of reserves. And then if we can't, then we can make an adjustment from there if we need to. But the faculty and staff are instrumental. Our taxpayers are instrumental also. And so we got to look at this whole thing, and we've taken a lot, and we've asked a lot of the taxpayers. We haven't made ourselves make the tough decision. And if we cut mills, we will make the college, it will put you in a position, it puts us in a position where we have to. We can't kick the can down the road and say, well, let's just do it next year. I've been to UG meetings year after year after year, and you know what they say? We're going to look into our budget next year. We're going to look into our budget next year. We're going to take a deep dive next year. It's kicking the can down the road. Like, we are here, we're elected to be here. We can make an easy decision, we can make a tough decision. We're a board, we can do whatever we want to do. But to simplify this process, I would be in favor of just setting a mill rate at 21.75 mils. That's what I'd like to see. It would be a reduction of like 2.5-ish. I didn't do the math exactly for that top number on some. It would be about $2.5 million that we would have to find. We'd either have to find it in reserves, we'd have to find it somewhere, but it would force us to make tough decisions. And I feel like that's probably what we need to do. If we're not forced to make this tough decision, we can always say that we're going to do it, but we do have money in reserves. And I think our taxpayers deserve not revenue neutral, because that's the same money that they paid last year. You did say 16% of our property taxes is the college. And the issue that I have is that for the state average, we're spending 2.2 times the average state. For full-time student, we're spending 2.2 times the amount of the state average for a student per student, which is $18,200 per full-time equivalent student. The state average is like $9,000. And so why are we so high? If we're not going to make a tough decision, if we're not going to make cuts, then we're still going to be #1 in the state for cost per full-time student equivalent. And that's 2.2 the state average. I just don't understand how we're that high. And we get asked questions by people in the community all the time. I don't know. We haven't got numbers. We've asked for some numbers on different things that we're still working on, seeing, some of the different programs and things like that. But if we have to dip into reserves, I say we dip into them. I know it's not easy to do or the best thing to do. That's just where I stand. So I'll stop talking about it. But I think that we should try to give the taxpayers some money back in their pocket, less than what they paid the year before. I think we have some reserves where we can do that. This isn't something that can happen every year, but I think we're in the position this year to do it.
Well, even with revenue neutral, we're going to have to dip into the reserve, right?
Correct.
So
Based on that, yep.
Mhm. Any other comments before we move on? I don't know if you're looking at your agenda. We're not voting at this point, but the next item on there is when we will take a vote. You'll present something else to us again here.
No, Madam Chair, you all need to vote on setting the mill rates tonight. And then the other two pieces are just, they're kind of a formality, because after you set the mill rate tonight, it automatically transacts on us with the publication of the budget hearing that will be next month.
So I'd like to just go on record by saying that I think that we need to err on the side of caution. There are too many unknowns. And so if that means we need to remain at revenue neutral or no more than one meal, that would be my suggestion.
Okay, so is everyone ready to vote? Do we probably need to take a roll call vote, and do we need all scenarios presented, or?
Is there,
I will make an official motion to request that we set the mill rate at 21.75. See if
Now,
there's a second.
that's not on here, right?
That is not.
It would be in between that 1.5 and that 2.
But that's making us vote on the unknown. With these numbers that's on here, we know how it's going to impact. But what you're suggesting is for us to vote without knowing what the impact is going to be.
Yes, I'm just making the motion for 21.75, which would be right between the 1.5 and the 2. So it would be about, if you're looking, well, you're looking at a different paper than I am.
And as noted, you know, a 1 mil reduction, I believe, is or a half a mil reduction is $1.2 million. So if you're taking the scenario 1.5 and you're adding an additional 0.608 to that, that's more than an additional half a mil. So if you're going 1.5 on the scenarios in front of you, that's already starting out with a mil reduction of $1.5 million. You're now adding an additional amount of almost 1.5 on top of that, or 1.2. So you're going to get to slightly below, probably around $2.5 million in reductions on your mill.
Yeah, it'd be.
Yep.
Yep.
And that's simply on your mill. That's not taking into consideration any expenditures down below.
I have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Thank you.
All right, the motion died.
So for clarification, you're talking about landing in the middle between 1.25 and the 1.5?
I think it's kind of hard
No.
because we have
The
different
suggestion
papers.
was to reduce the mill rate from 23.642, and I can do the math here, or if somebody else wants to do it, 23.642, and then moving it to 21.750, or a difference of 1.892 mils.
Okay.
A 1 mil reduction is $2.4 million. So if you're looking at it just slightly under 2, we're going to come in probably at that 2.6-ish million dollar mark.
And while I respect what, and I know, well, I guess we're still discussing because the motion died. Yeah. Yeah, the motion died, so I guess we'll, go on, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Oh,
Go
no,
on.
it's okay. No, the reason I was asking, because I just wanted clarification on where we were going to sit
Absolutely.
with the proposal. So 1.892. And that, of course, includes the 0.9
It
revenue
does.
neutral reduction. Okay. Okay.
And I see revenue neutral as being intentional. I don't see it as kicking the can down the road. It gives us a little cushion, and intentional is the word, that we intentionally look at what are we going to do different. But to take an axe like that, I guess, I'm a taxpayer. We all are some type of taxpayer. We live here in Wyandotte County to be on this board. And so, and thinking of the future and the longevity of the college, I don't want to hamstring us too much. So I'm not saying I respect what you're saying, but I just see it as being intentional to be revenue neutral. And from this point forward, we keep asking the questions. What are we going to do to work on this? And some of it is increasing enrollment. You know, I think we rely too much on the high school enrollment. To me, that's low-hanging fruit. We've got to, there's so many markets that we're not even reaching in this community, though that could be revenue sources. So look at those areas. What can we do? What groups are we not reaching that we could reach to bring in more enrollment, and then plus increase the tuition rate a little bit. Those something, because we look at the tuition rate, is it every January or is it February? January, yes. So, and we've tried to keep it modest, and we have. I think we are the lowest, but there is some room where we can raise our tuition a little bit. I mean, we don't have to keep bragging, we are the lowest. We can raise it and still be the lowest.
I think we are among the lowest.
Yeah.
I think we are among the lowest and also yet among the highest in terms of the $18,000 we were talking about. So that shows me that there's wiggle room on both sides to come down, for rates to go up and
Yes.
the overall cost to come down. Yeah, I mean, and you're correct, Chairwoman. We're all getting hit with this. I mean, as of beginning August 1st, I had almost a 37% increase in my monthly mortgage because of everything that's going on with assessments and all that kind of nonsense. So we're all being affected by it. But, yes.
No,
Did you want to chime in?
Okay.
My question is for the chair, but I'm not trying to interrupt
Okay.
you, Alex.
Yes,
Go
listen,
ahead.
you finish, and then you can ask me my question. I don't know that I'll have an answer, but you can ask
I think
it.
you will.
Yes.
Yeah, so there is some wiggle room there between the $18,000 high, being the highest in this, in the state, that there's room for that to come down. And I think we are among the lowest in terms of tuition rates. So there could be some stuff to be working with there.
Yeah,
as
because
well.
if you look at, how is it we have the lowest tuition rate and our enrollment isn't up?
Right, and 2/3 of it
There's
is
a
being
lot of
paid by
work.
the state, and so,
That's a very good point.
yeah, it is.
Okay.
Very good point.
Trustee Ash.
So Linda, I was a little unclear. Were you making a motion to leave it at revenue neutral, or were you just
Stated my opinion.
discussing it? Your
Discussing
opinion?
it. Oh, yes.
Okay.
As a chair, I don't think I should give a motion. I asked for the motion.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, all right. So, are you finished, Alex?
Yes, but I was also going to make them, well, you made the motion for 1.892.
I made the motion for 21.75 mils.
And it did, and it died. It didn't get a second.
Okay.
You know,
Well-
I think we can put our college in jeopardy by maybe reducing the meal too much. And we need to think about how the colleges are going to function at the level it has been functioning, or even better. I am in favor of reductions, so therefore, I would suggest the 1 meal levy reduction. And hopefully, the college would figure out how to meet their bills, because, if you don't pay your bills, you're in trouble, and we don't want the college to be in trouble.
So I would recommend that we begin with Trustee Cahar's motion, and then I second, and then we can vote and just kind of use that as a starting point.
Well, the time passed.
Just read.
You're gonna have to
So
make another motion.
Okay.
you would have to make it another
Well, you
motion.
gotta make another motion.
And then were you making a motion? Or are you?
She was making a motion for 1 mil.
second her motion.
Can I ask a question of Dr. Schulte real quick before we vote?
Okay.
Can you tell us how much money we do have in reserves?
Yeah, that's what I noted earlier. Trustee Sanchez asked that question. Currently, unrestricted cash is $26.6 million. The restricted portion of that is $51.4 million. With that, that's also taken into consideration our first half of our property tax allocation. So if we were going to go revenue neutral, last year we brought in $56.5 million. So half of that we've already received in June. So if you're going to take, that's probably going to be what, 25 plus another 3, $28 million of that is already planned for this year.
So to simplify it, since we get to see, a couple of us get to see these numbers a lot more than the others.
So I would say,
as far as like what we typically have in reserves, it's usually about $10 million, right?
10 million?
About 10 million that's
no,
not.
we have substantially more than 10 million.
That we're not ending up spending throughout the year, and then
At the end of the year in our cash flow analysis,
Yeah.
it would probably draw us down to, let me look and see if I have it, Trustee Cahar. And that's a key piece of what we share at the Finance Committee as well, is what that allocation is. Let me see if I have it. We drew that number down last year to about $11 million.
And so- yeah,
11.6.
And so, yeah,
Yep.
that was the number I was talking
Yep.
about. So
Yeah.
when I was asking these numbers and all that, I was saying we're going to have to look for
Yeah.
maybe $2.5 million reduction out of that potential $11 million
Yep.
of what it was last year.
Yeah,
that
so we
just
drew
kind
that
of
down, so in
references
May,
it a little bit.
what Trustee Cahar is referencing in our cash flow analysis and our Finance Committee materials brings that down and goes through and takes into consideration, it's basically drawing down off of our reserves. We get an allocation, we use it as a declining balance, we basically spend off the money we get it in two forms, one in June and then again in January. So once we get the June allocation, we use that money to pay for everything until we get the next allocation, in addition to any other revenue that comes in as the institution. But as his note was, at the end of May, the cash balance in 26 was $11.6 million. I might note for this group, just from the standpoint of what's been going on with the downtown and what's previously, a year ago that was at $46.3 million. So the reality of it is those dollars are being used for various purposes. One of the main ones is downtown as well.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
As a point of clarification, is there a motion on the floor as brought forward by Trustee Andrieu and seconded by Trustee Johnson? I think it would be helpful to clarify that.
Yes, and that's why, thank you.
Oh, there-
Go on and put it on the floor.
So there was not a motion?
That's why I asked, was it a
I was
motion?
asking a question.
But we'll put it on the floor. I propose that we have a 1 mil levy reduction.
Second.
And can we talk about the actual, what number specifically are you proposing?
Moved.
So we know the exact number we're voting
So
on?
wait a second. So we have a motion and a second. Is there a question? So now this is where the discussion can take place.
Yeah, what's the mill rate? What's the number that are you saying?
22.642.
Is that the number you're saying is 22?
That's what the 1 million.
642?
I don't,
So you made the motion, I just would want to
I
clarify
was just
which.
going by this sheet here that has the
Yeah,
numbers on it.
That's the one then. Joe, that's the
Mill
22.
levy scenarios.
642.
2642.
It's the number right above the 1 mil levy reduction of 22.642 on the mill levy scenario recap.
So would there be, would you still be taking it out of reserves to cover this 1 mil?
That's a key piece of the work that we'll do with administration to come back and present to you all in a month what that budget reduction looks like. That's going to be a combination of expense reductions and efficiencies that we find on campus, in addition to also clarifying with you what those expense reductions look like and the utilization of potential reserves to cover some of it as well.
Okay. So we have the
And that-
motion and, go on.
I was going to say, and that will be a key piece of what's reviewed in the Finance Committee as well.
Okay. We have a motion and a second. We probably need to do a roll call vote on this.
Yeah.
Go on.
You probably have some more discussion. Go ahead,
Okay.
Jeff.
Yeah, I think, I would say from all these conversations, there's a lot of good insight here. From the 1 mil reduction perspective, I think that at a minimum makes perfect sense because we've already agreed to revenue neutral. This is just 0.1 more onto that. I would say, I think from the Finance Committee meeting, there was a lot of great discussion on how that 1.25 could work without going too far. I do like the idea that 1.25 or at least $1 million, even if it's not the 1.25, but $1 million, if we get to that as a budget reduction, does create additional. It creates challenges, but I think it creates a good challenge where a $1 million is not an unrealistic number to find in a $98 million budget, and so I think that that's an opportunity to reduce spend by a little over 1%. That being said, I will obviously support the way the board goes. I mean, I love that we're all at least agreeing on reducing the mill levy, but I do think that the challenge of a 1.25 isn't so great that it's unattainable, while also potentially not throwing us into going into reserves, or if we do have to go into reserves, it would be very, very minimal to that extent. But that would just be where my mind would go.
Okay.
I agree with pretty much everything that Jeff said there, and I would just like to state, I want to validate what Joe is after here. Okay, challenging the status quo is good. It's necessary, and so, again, part of reaching this balance, though, I think at 1.25 it offers some relief to the taxpayers. I can't quantify that. I don't know how much that's going to be, okay? But what I can tell you from my notice of proposed property tax increase and public hearings notice that all property owners here in Wyandotte County received in the mail last week, the unified government has calculated that as the community college decided to go revenue neutral, at revenue neutral, my property taxes are forecasted or proposed to go up $43.29. It's $3.60 a month, because we're only 16% of the overall tax bill, okay? However, my school district that I live in, and I don't live in the most expensive house in Piper, and I don't live in the cheapest house in Piper either. I'm, probably kind of a mid-range guy, but my school district's going to go up about $320 a year, okay? So when the unified government says, well, it's education that's driving your tax bill up to over 50% of your tax bill, my school districts at, like 36 or 35% of the tax bill, and you add the college's 16% on there, they're not lying. I mean, they're telling the truth. But they're not giving you, the whole truth there, okay? So $3.60 a month is not going to cause me to, have to make significant changes. And again, I don't live in the most expensive house, and I don't live in the cheapest house, okay? That said, if the reason I, for one, and I think we as a group pretty much settled on about 1.25, although Joe was definitely leaning at 1.5, is I think the 1.25 makes a couple of statements. We are saying to the taxpayers, we hear you, and we're going to offer relief, but we have to do it in a prudent way, so we don't have to come back and ding you the next year. It also says to the college, I believe, that the board is serious about challenging the status quo. We're challenging the status quo, and that's a healthy thing to do, and that's a good thing to do. When I was a CEO of an agency, I was all about challenging the status quo, because without it, Joe's comment is valid. What changes? Okay, what changes? We need everybody engaged in doing this work, not just the board and not just our finance department. But again, I believe we have to do it, in a prudent manner. And so while I appreciate the motion to set it at 1, I, for one, don't think that challenges us enough, Joe, okay?
Thank you.
And so I'm, that's just kind of where I am, and I'm going to leave my comments there.
So do you want to propose that?
No, we have a motion
We have
and
a
a second on the
motion
floor.
on the floor and a second,
so we have to take
you have-
the vote.
I would propose it if this motion doesn't pass.
Well, could I withdraw my proposal?
Well, yeah.
Yes.
I withdraw my proposal. Now you can propose yours.
At the second,
You have to have a
the
second.
second has to withdraw too. You
You all
can't
are
have-
funny.
Second.
You all are funny to me. Before I withdraw, the reason why I think 1% is good for us is because we have a school downtown that is an unknown entity. We don't even have all of the students that we need. We don't have all of the employees that we need. We don't know how much it's going to cost us to run that building for this next year. And we're making a decision on unknowns. And then our interim president has already told us in 2028, there's going to be some issues. And so now we want to make a decision and jump to 1.25 when we don't know what is going to befall us in the next 12 to 24 months. So that's why I am an advocate for revenue neutral or no more than 1%. But if you're going to withdraw, then it's withdrawn.
You don't have to.
Do y'all know what time it is?
Yeah, I mean, just procedurally, if you don't withdraw, it just requires a vote.
Yeah.
I mean,
I won't withdraw because that's how I feel.
yeah, so then that requires a vote.
Okay, thank you. And we probably need to make it a roll call vote?
You should, yeah.
Yes. And so the vote is to accept or to approve a 1.0 mill rate reduction.
Correct.
Trustee Ash?
No.
Trustee Cahar?
No.
Chair Hoskin Sutton?
No.
Trustee Johnson?
Yes.
Vice Chair Comp?
No.
Trustee Sanchez?
No.
Trustee Scruggs-Andrew?
Yes.
2-5
So it-
against.
So that motion fails.
Motion failed, yes.
All right, so I'll make a motion that we,
The reason I did that because I'm still on revenue neutral. Okay. So, all right.
it was a good call. I'll make a motion then that we set the mill levy at a reduction of 1.25 mils.
I will second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions?
So it's 22.142? Is that?
22.392.
Oh,
392.
I'm sorry.
392.
22.392.
And I agree, I'm very concerned about downtown and then the leadership that we may have in Topeka next year. So, very concerned about that. So let's have another roll call vote.
Trustee Ash?
Yes.
Trustee Cahar?
No.
Chair Hoskin Sutton?
No.
Trustee Johnson? Vice Chair Comp?
Yes.
Trustee Sanchez?
Yes.
Trustee Scruggs-Andrew?
Yes.
4-3.
Passes. Motion passes.
Passed. Yes.
All right. So the motion passes and you will come back next
I will.
month
Yep.
with.
And with the action taken tonight on the mill, setting the mill rate, we will then move forward with the other two pieces in the agenda, which already are approved based on your action. So you don't have to approve them. It's just setting the budget hearing and the certification of that as well.
Okay. So then, you all heard what he just said. This takes us then to the end
Yeah.
of our agenda. Okay. Thank you all for your robust discussion tonight. Are there any other Closing comments.
Yeah, did we approve those notices of public hearing then? We did approve those?
Yeah, it's all wrapped into that.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Madam Chair, I just want to thank everyone again. I know these are
Great
not
discussion.
easy.
Thank
These are
you.
not easy discussions, and they're very tough. And I completely appreciate and understand every single person's point here.
Yeah.
I do.
If there is nothing else, we have a motion that we adjourn. Do we have a
Second.
second? We have a motion and a second. Thank you all so much. The meeting is adjourned, and see you next month, probably before. Yeah. Huh?
Vote.
Oh, oh, yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Now we're adjourned.
Now we are officially adjourned.